Sorry about that. If you've ever been excited to add tints to the sled, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. It is Thursday, March 6th, and the futures are under pressure. We're going to break it down. We're actually still above yesterday's intraday lows. So there should be no panicking. We're going to break it down. We're going to run through the news. We're going to figure out what's moving here today and why. And then we're going to look to trade it if we get a chance. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook starts right now. Hello, folks, and good morning and happy Thursday. I hope that you all had a wonderful Wednesday evening, and I hope that your day is starting off well here today. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. Artisan Custom Homes, good morning. Good morning to you indeed. Welcome back. Svarcy, Marcy, good morning. Happy Visionary Holdings Day to everyone. You'll have to explain that one to me. Don't quite get it, but welcome back, Svarcy. Nice to see you. Austin, let's go. Good morning. Good morning to everybody else. Paul, it's great to see you again. Welcome back. Jim, welcome back. Reaching Financial Freedom. Amen, brother. Welcome back. Peter, great to see you again, as well as Yassine. Welcome back. How about this? How about the snow last night, Yassine? Out of control. Should warm up here, though. Allsorts, good morning from sunny Scotland. All right. All right. Let me ask you, as from sunny Scotland, give me the boots on the ground report. What is the best single malt, in your opinion? Curious to know your thoughts on that. Sleep Coffee Trade. Sounds good. Good morning. Chuck, good morning. Zane, good morning. Couch Potato, good morning. Jonathan, good morning. Sun-Kissed Yogi, good morning. Brandy, good morning. Rigetti put looking good. See if it holds. All right. We actually will cover Rigetti here, Brandy. Good stuff. Like to see you out there up already before the market opens. ATL Russ in the house. Hope you're doing well, boss. Welcome back. Nabil, welcome back. Terlingua, welcome back. Another day, another dollar. Indeed. Tom, welcome back. Bobby, welcome back. Day Trader, good morning and welcome back. Hustle and Bustle, welcome back. Charles, welcome back. Crush Baba yesterday, 6K. Way to go, Charles. Baba here. We'll actually talk about some of the Chinese stimulus here. Alibaba's soaring. So really good stuff there. JJ, good morning. Harris, good morning. Drew, it's great to see you again. Jay Harris, it's great to see you again. Juan, great to see it. What is this show about? This show is about the stock market. This show is about news that is affecting stocks. This show is about everything that's going on in the financial markets, as well as Bitcoin, by the way. And then we actually do some trading here when the market opens. Nice to have you here. XC Media, good morning. Nabil, good morning. Hans, good morning. Love the Bears. I'm assuming you mean the market Bears, not the Chicago Bears, because very few people love them outside of Chicago. Anyway, welcome back. Bears are in control, at least so far. Trader, welcome back. Rustam, good to see you, boss. Welcome back. Larry, welcome back. Hellcat, welcome back. All right, let's go. Let's go ahead and dive right into what we got going on today. No guest here this morning, so we should be able to cover, let me get the screen up here. We should be able to cover whatever stocks you folks want to cover here today. And definitely we can have some discussions about some of the stocks that are in play or moving around here recently. But we're going to start here with the SPY, and we'll start actually with the futures here. S&P futures still under pressure here, down 1.16%. So pointing towards a weak and lower open here. Dow futures also down almost 1%, 0.94%. NASDAQ leading the way down, minus 1.5%. So the tariff uncertainty clearly continues here, and it's having an effect on the market. Now, I got to say, yesterday's action, interesting, right? We were green arrows in the morning. We started to lose it in the pre-market. I was telling you, hey, you know what? Whenever we have the market up in the pre-market, it likes to really kind of roll over. And then when it's low in the pre-market or when it's under pressure in the pre-market, we like to bounce at some point during the course of the day. Well, if you take a look inside yesterday, we weakened. We were higher in the morning. We weakened. We sold off. It was looking pretty nasty, but then we bounced. And the key here was that we held. This was likely on the news article that the auto tariffs for Mexico and Canada were going to be pushed out till April 2nd. And that is predominantly why we bounced here and why we held. Now, if we look forward to today, we lost a lot of that stuff, and we are coming back in. But one of the levels to keep in mind here today, or to watch, I should say, 573. I've got it marked here at 573.14, but really 573 is the level that we need to pay attention to. SPY here is weak. And then the other thing I want to pay attention to is, do we get the same type of pattern? Because we're weak here this morning, does that mean that we are going to bounce at some point here today? Do we actually trade higher here, or is this just one of those days where it just feels like crap and it's just selling off all day? We'll see. We'll see. We come back to the daily chart here. It's going to be really important to keep in mind where we're at. We did come in towards the 200-day moving average. Remember, I made a big deal about this when it happened. We did not actually print that level. We did not actually touch or test that level, although we did come in towards it. Yesterday, we tried to bounce. Again, we traded down a little bit and tried to bounce, couldn't test it. My question is today, do we hit that? So yesterday's intraday low, that 573 area, but then we've got 571.5 here for that 200-day. What I would really like to see here is a print at the 200-day, not this candle where we end just right above it. I'd really like to come in and actually print it. And better still, frankly, is if we can peak below, if you will, trade beneath it, and then recapture it in the same session. That would be a pretty good sign. It would look pretty good on the chart, and that might actually set up for another bounce higher. Now, the 200-day is just kind of a speed bump, if you will, on the way down here. If you are bearish, or if you think that this market is going to continue to come in, or if you're, I don't know what the market's going to do, but I will say I'm still hoping that the market comes in. If the market came to me, or the market gods or whatever it was said, Ryan, you pick what's going to happen, I'd say at least pull us back to the 10% pullback level. Let's reset some of these valuations. Let's shake out some of the weak hands, and let's get ready to actually buy some quality companies at discounted prices. Now, it didn't ask me that, so I have no idea if that's what we're going to do. But one of the things that we should keep in mind here is that we might roll over. We might actually snap this 200-day. If we do, I think it's almost a certainty that we get down there to 552. I don't like using the word certainty when it applies to the market, because the market loves to humble people and make people look like fools, and I am no exception to that by any means. However, I just can't help it. I look at this chart. I think if we break this 571 200-day moving average, 552 is next here, and that would represent a 10% pullback level. Here's what it looks like on the weekly chart. It's also worth noting here that the 50-week moving average is down here at 563. That's also kind of in between that 10% pullback level. These are some levels that we should keep in mind if the SPY continues to pull down. Again, if we take another look here, we have the 20-month moving average down here at 526. So still pretty elevated. The longer the time frame, the more elevated the market actually looks. Let's see if we move down. I'd like to hear from you folks. Is anyone willing to make a call early on about either where we close or how we close? I don't even need you to give me a specific number, frankly. If you're just saying, hey, I think that we're going to go down today and then we're going to bounce today. If that ends up being correct, I'm going to be impressed. So let me know. Let me know what you think is going to happen here today. Let's talk about that, and let's set up some potential trades in order to capture that. I still think there's more selling pressure ahead, but we'll see if we get that here today. Okay. Couple of things, a couple of quotes that I just wanted to go over from the market overview. U.S. stocks likely to open lower after Wednesday's blip. Be patient, be ready to act, says analyst, as market uncertainties can create opportunities. And this is really kind of like the big focus that I want to have for a couple of reasons. Number one, sometimes it's hard to be ready to act when it looks, when you watch the market every day, and then you get consecutive days or just a period where the market just was really, really weak and it really, really gets hit. Sometimes it's hard to stay ready. That can shake confidence, right? And on top of that, now we've got geopolitical stuff both here and across the world that introduces another layer of uncertainty. Looking at the VIX here this morning, 23.7. I'm not sure that the VIX really goes beneath 20 in the near future. Way too much uncertainty out there, way too many moving parts. Volatility. There's another quote that I don't have it here for you because I have this other quote from Scott Wren, which we're going to go through. But Ryan Dietrich was saying that, volatility is the price we pay over time for gains, something of that nature. I'm paraphrasing. And that's true. There are opportunities where we can use this volatility in our favor, and there's other times where, it might just be best to kind of sit on the sidelines. And that's kind of the environment that we find ourselves in. Anyway, going back to Scott Wren's comment here, he said, quote, "From our perspective, we see a slowing economy as something like a temporary air pocket in the nearer term, and we continue to expect solid economic growth in 2025. We see market uncertainties creating opportunities in both equities and fixed income as the year progresses. Be patient, but be ready to act." Again, that's Scott Wren, global market strategist at Wells Fargo, with that quote. And I like this a lot because this really kind of folds into our entire theme of not panicking. Don't get lost in the sauce. Don't be hand-wringing over everything that happens. You're just going to make your job harder, and you're going to make yourself more stressed out, and maybe make some more mistakes. And that's one thing we definitely want to avoid. One of the things in here, they said, we see a slowing economy as something like a temporary air pocket in the nearer term. Now, this is interesting because we've talked a lot about interest rates and how they're driving the market here. The Fed wants to say they're data dependent and they're going to wait. Trump, a real estate guy, says, I want lower interest rates, basically telling Jerome Powell to lower interest rates. Jerome Powell responding by saying, I'm not listening to the president. I have my own mandate. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And we're data dependent. And then Trump saying, okay, I'm going to give you some data. And it looks to me like that's kind of what's going on here. We'll see if that ends up panning out. The part about this that I think is good is that this does kind of feel temporary. Remember, when the Fed was saying that inflation was transitory, a lot of us were like, this is BS. There's a lot of trouble here. Well, some of this tariff uncertainty might actually be temporary. And it looks like that's kind of what Scott is saying here. This is, maybe another take on the little disturbance, end quote, that came from the address to Congress. I'll let you folks figure that out. But he goes on to say, and this is probably the larger point, he goes on to say that they expect a pretty good year in 2025, even with economic growth. So if we're in a growth scare now and the growth scare ends up bringing the market in, but you still expect growth in 2025, to me, it sure seems like he's kind of setting this up for a potential buying opportunity. Where that bottom is, nobody knows. We're going to take a look at the charts every day and try to figure out when that time to buy is. We see market uncertainties as creating opportunities in both equities and fixed income. Well, yeah, let's have some of that volatility, bring some of these really good companies in, bring some of those prices down, reset some of these price to earnings valuations. We've talked a lot, especially about the semiconductors, because those have been the darlings of the market. We've talked a lot about those multiples being traditionally 3-4x higher than they are normally. So let's reset some of that. Let's see where we go from there. Let's see if that makes the market more viable and more tradable. And it seems to me like Scott here is basically saying, look, we're gonna try and use some of the volatility to our advantage. We're gonna be patient. We don't need to force things right now. And that's the big part of this that I wanted to kind of push forward and echo here. I think times like these, especially when the market's coming in, this is really the time to be patient. If you're not sure what to do, if you're not sure what to trade or what direction the market's going to go, instead build a list of quality companies that you would like to own for the long term and try to figure out some different levels that might make sense for you, and keep that list handy, because eventually some of those might come to pass. Okay, let me go through. I'm sorry, I was just kind of going off there. Let me go through this here a little bit and see if I missed anything here. Lots of good mornings. I appreciate all of you folks. Rustam, I really appreciate you trying to get people to remember, like and subscribe. Free way to support what we're doing here and to help us expand. All sorts. I asked you what the best single malt was. Your response is, I don't drink whiskey, but I'll ask around. Thankfully, you're in a place where a lot of people are pretty experienced with that. Good morning, Ralph. Good morning, Pretty Panda. Okay. Harris saying Trump beginning to walk back the tariffs just like 2018. Well, those tariffs did stay on. In fact, they were so good that Biden's administration left them on, but that's neither here nor there. Here's my question for you, Harris, that I think is actually going to affect some of these trades here. If that walk back continues, what does that mean for the market? Do you think that induces a market bounce? And if you don't, or, well, if you do or you don't, do you think that that causes some opportunities in individual names? Meaning, if he starts walking some of this stuff back, do you think that there are individual stocks that might benefit from that greatly? Let me know what those are. We'll keep an eye on those. That could be something to trade there. Okay, Wiss, I got some golf on, charts up, and Ryan about to throw out some bangers. I'm ready to make some money. Wiss, I can get on board with that. Keep me posted on what's going on with the golf. I actually don't have any of that on. Good morning, Lion. CT, Panda, Bernhard. Okay. Lion saying, I don't trust this market. I've been selling the pop and going cash and trimming my portfolio. I'll be very selective and not leverage. That's another thing that I think is really, really smart. You know, I at least in my end here, really kind of dialed back being aggressive, especially when it comes to near-term trades. And when I've gotten an opportunity in some of the stocks that I've had, I've sold some off and I've raised some cash and I've built up some dry powder so that I too can be ready if things really, really get bad. There might be a day where we kind of capitulate and flush. In fact, there might be more than one day when that's the case. And if that happens, I've been through it before, and I know that the right play here, and I learned this from those that are more experienced than me. I've learned that the right play there is to not panic. Sometimes the best thing to do is just walk away. Be comfortable with all of the stuff that you own for whatever reason that you own it. And stay patient and don't panic. I cannot stress that enough. Okay, really quickly here. Did you say 552 on SPY? So I did hustle and bustle. The 552 represents a 10% pullback. The actual number here on the chart, which might have been why it was confusing, is 551.91. Frankly, I'm rounding up the 9 cents. 9 cents to me is not going to make or break the 10% pullback level. I also drew these lines with the measuring tool, so the chances of it being slightly off is also possible. So I'm abbreviating 551.91 as 552. I don't think we get there in one session, obviously, but I think that if we lose the 200-day, that area is likely as a next step, or as a next stop, excuse me. Some really odd wicks in the 5-minute candles the last few days. Seems that way at least. Yeah, so I think you're talking about the SPY, right? We saw this, Brandy. This is pretty much all we saw here in the morning until we really kind of broke out of this formation, right? We were going up and down and up and down. And the wicks at the top, they were there pretty much, you know, the entire time. Eventually we broke down and we reversed on the piece of news, but even so, on the way back up, we still had some kind of odd wicks. It really didn't feel, it felt like a rally that you don't trust. Lion, I think you had said, yeah, I don't trust this market. I've been selling the pops. That's exactly what it felt like yesterday. It felt like this is a kind of a rally that I'm not really sure how many people trust this rally. And it looks like that was the case because here we are in the morning, market's down quite a bit here. In fact, quick look here at that. S&P futures down 1.25%, Dow futures down 1%, and NASDAQ down over 1.5%. So we have moved a little bit lower since we went on air here today. Okay, really quickly. Charles saying buying Chinese JD, Baba, Baidu. We're actually going to talk about Baidu there pretty soon. Allzort saying, to me, it still looks weak, especially on the high PE stocks. Totally agree with you. 552, I think, is coming. I'm in complete agreement with you there, Allzorts. I think we definitely see 550. Here, this is the call I'll make. You might not think this is a great call or whatever, but this is what I will say. I think that we are more likely to see 552 than before we test the all-time high. So I'm kind of eyeballing this here, and it looks like this is kind of the midpoint. So I would say that to me, it sure seems like we're going to test some of these lower levels to try and hold before we retest some of the highs and potentially set new all-time highs. Now, can news change everything? Of course, but this is, as where I sit here today on March 6th, this is definitely what I feel there. So I'm with you on that completely. Ryan, good morning. It's great to see you. Gatekeeper, good morning. It's great to see you. Lion saying Kramer said buy crowd. Okay. So that's also one of the stories that we're going to go over here. Love it. Love where you guys are going. Why did the market today, did Trump say, why did the market down today and why is the market down in the pre-market today? Did Trump say something? Nothing new yet. It's just a lot of uncertainty out there. And I think that the rally yesterday was on the tariff push out a month to April 2nd. The auto tariffs for Canada and Mexico pushed out a month. I think that rally simply got sold. We're actually not even back down to the lows that we were at yesterday, although I do think that might print here today. Okay. I personally am out of the market. I don't trust the bull run. You're not alone. Aishay, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, you are not alone. There are a lot of people that don't trust this market, and a lot of people seem to be waiting for this to kind of roll over here. Okay, and keeping an eye on Marvell for possible reversal. They reported earnings. I'm sure we'll take a look at that here again today. All right, let's move over to Alibaba. You folks are talking about some of these Chinese names. Alibaba soars 7%. Oh, you know what? Sorry. Before we do that, there was one more thought here on the SPY. I apologize. I had it in my note sheet here. I got too excited. The Fed is not expected to cut rates anytime soon, as they have stated their position on being data dependent. But with the economy expected to slow this year, their goal of bringing down inflation to under 2% may be realized with a weakening consumer. And so this is something else to keep in mind. If we start to see economic slowdown, understand what that means going forward here. And frankly, if we want interest rate cuts, then having the consumer slow down here and having the economy slow down here would really kind of help that. So again, just kind of keep that on the radar. We'll see if that happens. Okay, now we're ready to go back to Alibaba. Alibaba soars 7% on the AI push as China pledges to, quote, vigorously boost spending, end quote. Hang Seng reaches the 2-year high. So we've been hearing a lot about stimulus here in China. We've talked a lot about that. There have been some tranches of stimulus that have really kind of impacted some of these stocks, including the ones that you folks are talking about here, or the ones that you want to take a look at here. Hong Kong stocks surged on Thursday morning with the Hang Seng climbing 2.5%. Reaching its highest level since January of 2022 and extending its year-to-date gains to 23.37%. Chinese tech giants led the rally in the Hong Kong exchange, with Alibaba Holdings rallying 7.24% and Tencent Holdings jumping 5.84%. Other major tech firms also posted substantial gains, including Baidu and JD. So all of these stocks, all of these Chinese stocks that you folks are on, being impacted by this. The market rally follows Premier Li Qiang's, I probably pronounced that wrong, and I'm sorry, announcement of increased financial stimulus during China's inaugural parliamentary meeting on Wednesday, Reuters reported. Li pledged to, quote, vigorously boost sluggish consumption and cushion impacts from escalating U.S. trade tensions while maintaining China's 5% growth target for 2025. So the question here that I want to ask is, should we be looking at Chinese names with some of this stimulus? Does this mark the top of some of the runs on those stocks like Baba, which has had an amazing move off 84? We got news that Tepper and his fund were buying up Alibaba around that 84 level at the end of last year. That statement, I think, came out or was finalized on December 31st. We got that early here this year. Baba's absolutely ripped since then. I mean, absolutely ripped. 84. The stock's 143 right now. So this is almost a double from in just this calendar year. And here, just to kind of get an appreciation for what we're doing, this is the move here on Baba. Now, what I drew here was actually a Fibonacci extension drawing, and I started it from the low of the consolidation area that we had back through 2024. Baba really kind of consolidated through most of the summer of 2024. Then we had the huge run. Then we had the pullback, and now we have the big pop here. So these Fibonacci levels, if you take a look at this, these have been pretty good and pretty accurate so far. I got to say, my next upside target here on Baba, based on this, 153. That's another 10 points from where we're at here on Baba. So if we think that there's going to be more positive effects here from the Chinese stimulus, it's reasonable to assume that some of these stocks might have some more room to run despite being pretty extended. Here we got an RSI just about to break into overbought territory. Remember, go back to yesterday when Tim Melvin gave us a lesson on all of these really highly used and best performing technical indicators. There was one point in there where he was saying that, the RSI is one thing, but sometimes it'll go to overbought and it'll stay there for a while. Maybe that's what we're setting up here for on BABA and some of these other Chinese stocks. And maybe we have a little bit more room to run. So I'm be very, very curious to see how you folks are trading this, if you're trading this at all. Generally speaking, I don't like Chinese stocks, but frankly, if this is the only thing that's being presented to us, we're going to have to go where the puck is, frankly, to borrow Wayne Gretzky's quote again. Let me get back to the article here real quick. In a quote, an increasingly complex and severe external environment may exert a greater impact on China in areas such as trade, science, and technology, Lee warned, addressing what he calls changes unseen in a century. Beijing plans to issue 1.3 trillion yuan in an ultra-long special treasury bond this year. That's $179 billion, by the way, up from 1 trillion yuan in 2024, and will allow local governments to issue 4.4 trillion yuan in special debt. The budget deficit is projected to widen to about 4% of GDP. Investors seem particularly enthused with China's AI ambitions. So, stop me if you've heard that before. AI really kind of pushing the entire market higher. It started here with NVIDIA and all of that. Looks like the same thing's happening here with China. The whole DeepSeek thing, which we've covered quite a bit here. Market sentiment has been bolstered by a recent emergence of AI platform DeepSeek, and Alibaba also announcing its new reasoning model here today. So AI seems to be a big proponent there, as well as stimulus. My pretty simple question to you, where does it end? Where's the top? Do we have some more room to run? Looking at some of the drawings here, sure seems like we do. Sure seems like we've got some more room to run here, especially if they're going to get positive help there from the government. Let me know if you folks have any trading ideas here on some of these Chinese stocks. Were you trading these already? Did anyone follow David Tepper when we talked about that at the beginning of the year? Let me know. Curious to hear. The other thing here, Peter Schiff making some comments here again. Peter Schiff warns of a U.S. as Japanese bond yield hits a 15-year high. So, okay, what happened here? Germany's 10-year bond yield jumped approximately 28 basis points to 2.76, reaching its highest level since October of 2023. This marks the largest sell-off in German government bonds since the month following the Berlin Wall's fall. Wow, driven by expectations of increased spending, according to Trading Economics. Peter Schiff, the yield on the 10-year JGB just hit 1.5. No one is paying attention to the slow-moving train wreck, with German bond yields moving up too and the dollar the dollar falling. Treasuries will have a lot of competition. Rising bond yields will drive the U.S. economy deeper into a recession. So one of the things that we had talked about yesterday, if some of these Asian countries start selling U.S. Treasuries, that could really, really be bad for the United States. We'll see if we end up getting there. One of our boots on the ground folks in Happy Hour was saying that for the first time, they're actually hearing in the media that this is being considered, and that would mark a real negative here for the market. So Peter Schiff seems to be looking at the same thing. Okay, now we're going to get on to I know that you folks were waiting for this story because Lion's already talking about it. So I know you folks were waiting for this. Jim Cramer doubling down on CrowdStrike despite the drop. Quote, analysts who were so negative had it wrong, end quote. I just want to take a second here to appreciate the fact that Jim Cramer is making a headline for calling somebody else wrong. I got to say, at least in all of the following FinTwit that I do, I don't think that there is an individual out there that gets called wrong, dumb, or ignorant more than Jim Cramer. So for him to, and I'm not commenting on him. I mean, I obviously still pay attention to what he says. I don't necessarily follow trades in there. He's been doing this for a long time. The whole 9 yards. I'm just saying this is what I see out there. Seems like a lot of people really don't trust Cramer. I mean, Lion, weren't you saying, well, Cramer said he's going to buy this, so I'm going to short it. That's the type of thing I mean. He just has that type of polarizing effect. Jim Cramer voiced support for CrowdStrike Holdings on Wednesday, challenging bearish analysts by purchasing shares for his charitable trust despite the cybersecurity firm's recent stock decline. We bought some CrowdStrike today for the charitable trust, thinking analysts who were so negative had it wrong. Okay, so let's pause right there. Let's go back to the actual chart and let's take a look here at where we're at on this chart. So here's CrowdStrike. You can see that it's, first of all, the one thing to note here, let me see if I can get this. There we go. The one thing to note here, what an impressive recovery rally from the big outage last summer. Remember, this is where a whole bunch of computers were blue screened, especially ones that were at airports. Flights had to be canceled. It was a huge mess. It was a huge mess. CrowdStrike really got blasted on it, traded all the way down to the 500-day moving average down here at $200 and bounced ferociously from this level. What a trade, because this was 200 to 450 in less than a year. That is an absolute monster trade here. Shout out to our group here. I don't think Amanda's here this morning, but I believe when we were first talking about cybersecurity, there were several of you that were pounding the table saying, hey, CrowdStrike is definitely one of the best in breed. And we saw last year that was absolutely true. So despite a huge kerfuffle, we had an amazing recovery here in CrowdStrike. Now, from those highs, from those 450-ish highs, we've really pulled back to this, or close to this important 335 level. You can see that this was a breakout level going back to the early part of last year. And recently, we were just kind of hanging on to that 100-day. Now, we're beneath the 100-day here today. I know Jim Cramer said he's buying it for his trust. Okay, that might have been one of the reasons why it got bought up yesterday. But looking at this chart, I mean, folks, we just talked about the 200-day. We just talked about how important that is for stocks. We just talked about a market that's likely to sell off or could potentially sell off some more. To me, with the 200-day at 333.5 and the breakout level, the clear breakout level being 335, gosh, I got to think over the next couple of sessions, we continue to come in here on CrowdStrike. What the stock does at the 200-day would be really important. It's lining up with some other pretty nice data points. I would kind of wait this out. I'm not going to say that Jim Cramer's wrong. I'll leave that to you folks to do that. But I do think that the next move here, or this is, I should say, this is on its way down here to the 200-day. Okay, you guys are giving me the jobless claims number. Let's go ahead and take a look at that print. Here is some of your economic data for today. Challenger job cuts for February, 172,000. Prior read was 49,000, so that is increasing. That was expected. U.S. initial jobless claims, 221,000 versus the 234,000 estimate. Now, we talked about this yesterday in Happy Hour. While we are expecting these numbers to climb, there is definitely a little bit of lag in these numbers. The print here this morning seems to confirm that. I'd like to get your opinion on that. Nonetheless, U.S. non-farm productivity quarter over quarter for Q4, 1.5% versus the 1.2% estimate. That number's a little hot there. Trade balance for January, minus 131.4 billion versus the minus 128.3 estimate. That number a little bit soft. Looking over here, S&P futures responding to this, popping a little bit, but not a whole lot here. S&P futures were down about 1.5%, now down about 1.25% here. They are up off the lows, but that's about it. And in fact, let me actually go back to the chart. It looks like, despite being up off the lows, looks like they were starting to sell right away. So yeah, little bit of a pop here. Not anything to hang your hat on. Let's give the rest of the pre-market session some time to shake out here. That data print, at least so far, is behind us. No huge reaction to that as of yet. Okay, let me get back to where I was at here. We were taking a look at the CrowdStrike chart. Again, my thought here for a potential trade, this probably comes into the 200-day. So as cybersecurity is one of my hot themes for 2025, assuming the market doesn't completely fall apart and scare the hell out of everybody here, I actually think that you might have an opportunity to trade CrowdStrike here if it comes in to that 200-day. As mentioned, especially when we're in the tape that we're in, the ideal setup is a move through the 200-day to the downside, and then within 3 or 4 sessions, recapturing that level. If we get that type of action, I think that's a pretty safe environment to put a swing long on CrowdStrike. Anyway, getting back to Cramer here. During the interview, Kurtz painted a concerning picture of today's cybersecurity landscape, noting that geopolitical tensions are driving increased threat activity. This is absolutely one of the reasons why in 2025, and just a little preview here, I actually think cybersecurity as a theme is going to advance into some of these future years here too, like 2026 and 2027. I think that this is an arms race that's going to go on for a little bit, which is one of the reasons I have this flagged as an important sector. Cybersecurity landscape, noting that global geopolitical tensions are driving increased threat activity. Quote, adversaries get more active. Nation state adversaries get more active. And certainly in the confusion of that, you have the e-criminals that come out. So you're basically getting hit from all these different angles here. Kurtz revealed that hackers can now breach and navigate systems in just 51 seconds, a speed unprecedented in the company's experience. He also describes sophisticated schemes by North Korean hackers who apply for remote jobs at well-known companies, receive company laptops, and redirect them to laptop farms controlled by North Korean operatives. How about that? How about that? Okay, let me see here. Despite analyst expectations with a fourth quarter revenue of $1.05 billion and adjusted earnings of $103 per share, CrowdStrike shares fell 6% on Wednesday following soft guidance. So this fits into the entire theme that we have seen here. And there's nothing special about CrowdStrike. Beat on the top and the bottom line, meaningless if the guidance is soft. We're seeing that again here today. So let me know, what do you folks think on CrowdStrike? Who likes it? Who doesn't like it? If you want to give me your opinion on Jim Cramer, go ahead and do that too. But what are we doing here with CrowdStrike? Are we looking to play this? Do we think that this is maybe a short? I'm kind of waiting out the case for a long. That's the situation I'm in. But I'd be definitely willing to listen to the opposite of that. Let me see here if I missed anything really quick. Brandy bringing up a really good point here. They laughed at Cramer 14 months ago when he said buy Meta when it was $200 a share. Brandy, I really appreciate this. I know we joke about Cramer a lot. We spend a lot of time kind of going over some of the different comments that he makes, this and that. I think it's really important to remember that despite some of the theatrics, I guess we'll call them, there are some good calls in there, and you're highlighting one. Absolutely. Lion here saying next support for CrowdStrike is 341. Lion, give me a little bit lower than that. I mean, let it come in a little bit less than that. Shamir, you're looking at GV. We'll cover that in the movers. GV is absolutely on the movers list here today. Buffalo by Bicycle says, I'm good for a sell-off. Dude, I've been good for a sell-off for over a year, and it's actually punished me because it hasn't been selling off. And now maybe finally we're getting that. Finally, we're getting that. Okay. Yucha, excuse me. Hopefully I'm getting your name right now. Need to wait for a pullback to previous lows to buy for long term. This is exactly why we're looking and hoping for a sell-off. It's not because we want to see the end of the world. It's because we want to be able to add quality companies at discounted prices, of course. Okay. Anthony saying it's overextended still. With soft guidance, it will go further down before it goes up. Anthony, I'm with you there, right? Bring it into that 200. Bring it into the 200. Let's see if we can firm up there, maybe even recapture that 200. That gives us a better chance there to trade this to the long term. So I'm with you there too. Kramer said Palantir is a buy. Again, I will say when you make public, there's nobody I know out there that's right all of the time. And when you make public calls, eventually you're going to have some bad ones. I think it's the way Kramer does things and the authority in which he acts that really kind of rubs people the wrong way. And so you're going to be able to highlight all of these bad calls. It is what it is. Do what works for you. I don't necessarily have like a recommendation. I mean, I know people, other Benzinga customers, frankly, that have said that they've used some of Jim Cramer's services and they've benefited from them. So it looks like there's people on both sides of the aisle. In any case, as far as Jim Cramer goes. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Rigetti, right? RGTI, the quantum names have actually provided some great trading opportunities over this year and really started kind of around Thanksgiving holiday of last year. You can see from the chart here where we're actually at. Just a really, really nasty trend. We had a huge move up, huge fast move up, and a big pull down to the 50, a nice bounce, but we were not able to change this trend. This trend has remained in here. It is extremely strong, and here we are today, down 10% on the back of its earnings report. We actually, in the process here, have lost the 100-day moving average. So it'd be interesting to see if it continues to move down. Next support level I have for Rigetti, $6. Got it marked off here on my screen at 603. The bottom of this candle is actually $5.95. $6, that area right in here. This is going to be your next area, followed by 417, which is going to be that 200-day below. I think that this continues to obey the trend line here. I was actually looking at Rigetti puts the other day and did not buy them. Now I'm kicking myself. So, Brandy, I'm glad that you're in that. I'm glad somebody is hitting that here. Rigetti asserts leadership in quantum computing race, aims to scale to 100 qubits as it looks to catch up with IBM, Google, and obviously it reported earnings here. So let me go to the story here on Rigetti, and we'll talk about that. The big question that I have going into this is, do you think this company, specifically Rigetti, can compete with some of the big boys like IBM and Google? One of the things that we've talked about at Quantum is, it may be a ways away. You're going to have plenty of time to trade this. We've also talked about there being winners and losers in this sector, right? There's definitely going to be some stocks that maybe even close up shop, some companies that don't exist anymore. There are going to be other companies that get acquired by bigger companies. Where does Rigetti fit into that? That's what I want to know from you folks. Rigetti asserts, quote, leadership. I already read the title there. Sorry about that. Rigetti Computing missed its fourth quarter estimates, but equated its quantum computing progress with IBM. Well, it's easy to just say that it's as good. Is it really as good? That is much more difficult. And Alphabet, with an ambitious target of scaling its chipset strategy to 100 qubits in 2025. So I guess the question here is, do you believe that this can, that they can scale their chipset strategy? Excuse me. Quantum computing race heats up as Rigetti's president and CEO Subodh, I think is how you pronounce that, Subodh Kulkarni, hopefully I'm getting his name right, no disrespect, said during the company's earnings call that it is the leader in the space and it is competing right at the top along with IBM and Google. We'll see. Despite IBM and Google's leading qubit counts, Rigetti remained confident with its CEO, saying that there were over 10 things to differentiate them from the peers. Quote, the main differentiators are our open model architecture, chiplet approach, and a few other things like annealing. Along with this, Rigetti expects strong government funding to focus on R&D and keep them competitive in fidelity and gate speed advancements. Quote, so overall, between the Department of the DOE, Department of Energy, excuse me, and the Department of Defense, the DOD, we are expecting sizable increase in U.S. government investment in quantum computing. Now, this is interesting because we've talked a lot about curtailing government spending, but the quantum computing angle also kind of wedges itself in with the AI angle. And maybe we're going to spend less on data centers and less CapEx. I don't think AI is going away here at all, especially when you have some of these world leaders talking about how important it is to be the winner in AI. We've had talks about quantum computing is going to fundamentally change the way AI works. Quantum computing is going to ruin Bitcoin because it's no longer going to be secure and you're going to be able to crack all of that. Bunch of stuff going on with quantum computing. This definitely has an angle into the AI or into the AI play here. But what do you folks think about the government spending? Do you think this is going to get cut? Do you think they actually get more government spending? Do you think they benefit from government spending? If you do, if you think that Rigetti is going to get government spending, it's reasonable to assume that you think this stock is going to be one of the ones that sticks around, maybe even gets acquired, which would pay you a premium, which would be a sweet trade. But I'm just curious. I'm curious to know what you think here. I think that was it from this article. Oh, no, sorry, the earnings. I beg your pardon. Its fourth quarter revenue came in at 2.3 million, missing estimates with an adjusted EPS loss of 8 cents, which met the estimates. Full year revenue was 10.8 million and net loss was 201 million. Rigetti ended the year with 217.2 million in cash. So clearly they're losing money. They do have a cash balance. Maybe we're not going to see some type of dilution in the near term. The longer that goes, the more opportunity that they could have to increase their cash position or their financials in a different way other than shareholder dilution. So we'll see if we get that. Rigetti also partnered with Quanta Computer, with the latter investing 35 million and both committing over 100 million to the collaboration over the next 5 years. So that's what's going on here with Rigetti. Are we trading this here today? Down 10.5%. Anyone think this bounces here today? Here's what it looks like after that earnings report really just ran right up into the trend line. Mutombo says, no, down you go. Here we go, sold off here after earnings yesterday, and we're a little bit weaker here in the pre-market. Looking at the pre-market action here today, I am definitely more on the bearish side for Rigetti. I know we're down 10.5%. So yeah, maybe we do get some type of regression to the mean or dead cat bounce here. Honestly, if that's what you're going to play, the level that I think you need to look at here is going to be this 740 high. This clearly represented resistance here in the pre-market. Yeah, sure. When the market opens, we might see more volume here. We need to get over this level. We really need to get over this level for this thing to really start making some more moves. We turn on the VWAP here. Let's see where's my VWAP. We're actually above the VWAP right now in the pre-market. Let's see if that holds. Let's see if Rigetti gets some mo here today. Okay, Bull God says not touching this, dude. I'm totally with you on that. I'm of the belief that the quantum computing theme could be a big one. I think that there could be some fundamental changes to some of the things that we do. I think this could absolutely help efficiency in some cases, especially for technology companies. But bro, I think we're so far away from this. I think it's a little too early. And when I say a little, I mean a lot. It's definitely too early to really start making some plays on this for the long term. In the meantime, if you're a gunslinger and you want to hit the things that's got mo, I totally get it. This one has shown that it can go crazy and can actually make for some great trades. I don't want to poo-poo the potential profits on this, but as far as the long-term story, I'm with you. I'm not touching it. I don't think we're there yet, and I think that we're going to have plenty of time to position for that. Okay. Lion saying 10 million in revenue. That's nothing. Even a good gas station in a busy highway makes more than that. And then a bunch of laughing emojis. There you go. Bull God saying, I'll wait a bit. With you. 100%. I like that. Love the energy, Ryan. Pot of coffee today. Here's the thing, Izzy. I know that on Thursdays when we have no guest and we don't have 13 joining till around 9 a.m., got to do something. Got to do something here. And and the other thing is that, you know, how tired are you guys being beaten over the head with Trump news and tariff news and all of that? I want to cover all of the things that we can. I want to start generating discussions that can lead to trades. Yesterday. By the way, Izzy, while we're on the subject of that, shout out to you because that Amazon trade, this actually did work out. Now, unfortunately, it was really only kind of a short-term trade. This is one of the reasons why I'm so much more conservative now, is because even when we see a really nice move like what we saw here on Amazon yesterday, look what happened here today. Look what happened here today. Nonetheless, still got about 45% on that day trade there, and it was fairly easy. It was not very active. Really just one entry, one exit, and ended up working. Let me know if you think Amazon is buyable here today. Meaning if you were just looking at the area where we're at here in the pre-market, pretty much near yesterday's intraday low. Part of me wonders if the market trades up here right out of the open. Does that produce a buying opportunity again here for Amazon? You let me know. You seem to be the Amazon king. Okay. Big energy from Ryan. Good morning, Anne-Marie. It's great to see you again. Look, happiness is a choice every day. You can wake up, you can choose to be happy, or you can choose to be angry. I choose happiness. And yeah, what can I say? I'm addicted to coffee. It works. It gets me rolling in the morning, and it makes me happy. So really excited for that. Amazon was a great scalp yesterday. Izzy, look, I owe these to you. And this, by the way, another kind of a 10,000 foot picture here. This is another reason why I continually try to shout you folks out for making trading ideas. Day trader, this is why I'm asking you to tweet me your trades. I want to expose more people to what we're doing here, because you folks don't need to rely on me, 13, Anne-Marie, Tim, or anyone else. You folks are able to make trades on your own. That's really where the value lies. We're going to keep doing that. We're going to keep doing that. Okay. Under 200, Amazon is always a buy, says Izzy. So keep that up. Now that we've cleared out the Jeff Bezos wall at 200, that number becomes even more important. Okay. Can you take a look at the valuation of Rigetti? I think it's very high. Well, haven't we done that? I feel like we've done that a lot. I think that you're completely correct here. Valuation is definitely high. $2.29 billion in market cap versus 2.3 million in sales, in revenue. Yeah, man, this is expensive. I don't even have a forward PE reading on here. But I mean, just looking at market cap to revenue here, yeah, this is definitely overvalued. I would completely agree with you, Lion. Completely agree with you. Okay. It looks like we are blessed with greatness early here today with 13. I'm going to go ahead and bring him on. Cold open. 13, how you doing? This is how we do things here on a Thursday.
Blessed with greatness. Just knock that off. Hi, everybody. How you doing?
Pretty good. Your mic does sound a little bit different here today, but I have no trouble hearing you, so nothing to be worried about.
Yeah, that was weird. I when I logged in, it asked me to make sure I set up my headset and mic again. So maybe there's something there. I'll see if I can turn this up a little bit.
All good. You sound fine. I have no trouble understanding you. So okay.
What are you talking about?
Well, I was just taking a look at Rigetti here because they reported earnings yesterday. It's down 10.4% here. We really, now that I'm looking at this, there really wasn't a ton of news here today. We talked a little bit about some of the China stocks soaring. We talked a little bit about the tariffs and where we're at here in the futures under pressure here this morning. But I just kind of finished up with Rigetti. I guess we'll start there. I know that you kind of follow some of the quantum themes here. Maybe you didn't cover this or anything, but do you have any kind of knee-jerk reaction to Rigetti or any thoughts on Rigetti or quantum, I guess, in as a whole?
I think I caught you talking about how much money they make and their valuation, and their valuation doesn't make sense, for the revenue that they have. So, this thing definitely needs to come back in. It's one of the things we've been saying. Let all those really high-flying names at the end of last year just come back in. All the quantum, the space, the nuclear, and the drone names. Just let them all come back in. They have a lot. They still have a ways down to go, but once they find the bottom, they should be good trades after that. So we'll pick out the names that look good and we'll trade those. But for now, Rigetti looks like it still should at least come down to its 200-day SMA. But I think even lower wouldn't surprise me either.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there. Let's see. We've got plenty of time, and there was not a lot of movers when I checked here this morning. So we can kind of maybe save that for a little bit here.
Sure.
Anne-Marie's asking if we took a look at Zscaler or Mongo database. No, we didn't. They, of course, reported earnings here. And we could start with MDB. That was getting pounded earlier here this morning. Wow, actually, it looks like it's getting even more pounded now, if that's actually a term. Okay, so MongoDB here. Let me go to my notes here. MongoDB Q4 2025 adjusted EPS of 128 beat the 66-cent estimate. Big beat there on EPS. Sales of 548.39 million beat the 519 million. That's a nice healthy beat there. Sees Q1 adjusted EPS of 63 to 67 cents versus the 62-cent estimate. Looks like a beat there. Mongo, though, getting pounded here, down 19.2% here today. So looks like they were, I guess, they're saying that the guidance is weak here.
It's okay. It's the fiscal year for 2026.
It was the yearly. Okay, got it. Didn't have that in the notes here.
Yeah, so that really underwhelmed, especially on the EPS side. So that's why one of the reasons it's coming down. And then, of course, all the analysts decided to pile in with their opinion this morning. With a lot of price targets lowered, some downgrades. So
Wells Fargo downgraded to equal weight.
Yeah. So it's just hammering the stock right now. So this isn't something I want to own right now. Let's see here. You can see some trend lines. Clearly, just broke a supporting trend line in this. So This might end up coming down to it's looking like it's going to go under 200. That would be my first reaction, is that I think we see it under 200 print.
I think I got to agree with you wholeheartedly. We are right down here with this area that kind of made a double bottom from the summer last year. Definitely seems like there's some, this actually goes back here to 2022 as well. I think at this point now, you're so not even far from the 200 the $200 level. I really think that this could push here, next. Now we'll see what happens here today with RSI being kind of oversold. But I agree with you. I think 200 probably more likely here than the 200 day. The $200 price more likely than the 200 day.
You could do a few things here if you're looking to trade this. Two levels that I would mark off just because they look like pretty interesting support levels: 185 and 135. Not saying we're going to go down to 135, but should more bad news come out, or should something happen that hammers all stocks and takes this one down with it, it's not out of the realm of possibility. But I do like 35 is like, let's call it a wow, that got absolutely hammered level.
Here you go. You can clearly see where those levels come from. Good stuff. I think this gives us some opportunities to add MongoDB if it comes down to these levels.
Yeah, so those are just a couple that stand out to me. Wow, you don't have very much data going back beyond 22, because those levels.
I got all types of issues going on here right now. Let's see if I can get. Let me try refreshing and see if that fixes it, because I actually did. I keep losing the shading here too. No, for whatever reason, I'm having trouble pulling some historical prices here.
Okay. Then one other thing I would do with MDB is draw a trend line that starts from the lows of November of 22. Draw it up through the low of August of last year, and then just keep that going. And the reason I'm highlighting this is because if there is a rebound, I would expect that the price would find resistance on this trend line on its way back up, trying to recapture it. There you go.
So this is about it right here, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so if we end up back testing that, that's about where I would think we see resistance kick in.
Okay, real good stuff there. Real quickly, Lion, you're asking, Ryan, can you take a look at app news? You're talking about app loving. I know we gave this, Anne-Marie, Anne-Marie gave this trade out here on Tuesday. I did actually take this app loving trade. We do find ourselves down here 4% here in the pre-market, so we're leaking a little bit. Lion, you wanted to see if there was news? Investigating app level for potential violation of securities law. I gotta think that this is just kind of one of those ambulance chaser ones. The company's click-through rates are 4 times the industry.
Yeah, is this one of those things where it suggests you, if you're a shareholder, that you contact this firm? You see a lot of these types of things, and it may actually be a real thing, but
this PR here from this legal firm is actually highlighting the Fuzzy Panda research.
Oh, okay.
So what's interesting here? Yeah, this looks like this is just trying to drum up a class action lawsuit here.
Yeah.
So Lion, I think that this is just kind of some continued downward move from the short report. Let's see how app actually does here today.
Yeah,
when the market opens,
you do end up seeing a lot of these when a prominent stock takes a large nosedive. You start to get some of these class action lawsuit firms jump in and say, "Hey, there might be something here," but you see plenty of times.
And this is also, by the way, this is another reason why I'm so fond of Anne-Marie's butterfly trades, is because by doing this, you're really able to kind of reduce some of the risk. When the trade moves against you, you're not panicking. You don't have these super expensive contracts that are getting absolutely taken out to the woodshed and Fargoed. So, okay, Lion, that's it. That was the only news that I see here on app. I just kind of see this moving down. The concerning part about this is that we took out this $310 level. And this $310 level represented the intraday low from Tuesday. And we also was the intraday low from yesterday. Now we're beneath it here. So one of the things I'd like to see out of the open is maybe a recapture of this. Maybe app runs a little bit.
I'm not going to stand in any way of any stocks that want to move down.
Yeah, me either. Me either. And again, another reason why we chose the butterfly. Not a whole lot of risk involved in those butterflies. So, okay, or mitigated risk, I guess I should say. I shouldn't say not a whole lot. All right, 13. What else do you want to take a look at here today? You want to do the movers? You want to get those out of the way? Any individual stocks?
We can look at the movers. There's not a whole lot to go over.
Real quickly, I got all excited there. Let's take a look at Zscaler here. This was another one that reported earnings. Zscaler shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q2 financial results and issued Q3 adjusted EPS guidance above estimates. Rosenblatt upgraded the stock following the report. So this kind of looks like the opposite there of MongoDB. The stock only up 3.5% here in the pre-market. We're actually off the highs that we set yesterday in the after hours. Let's take a look at the news here. We did hear that Rosenblatt upgraded 235 price target. Looks like we got a bunch of other price target adjustments, and they have those. Let's see, Wells Fargo at 190, Citi at 225, JP Morgan at 240, Needham at 240, BTIG 238, Baird 240, RBC 230. So a lot of these up here, 230, 240 area seems to be the consensus, if you will, by some of these analysts for the price target.
What's interesting is this, being in the cybersecurity space and having government contracts is not reporting, guidance being cut like, some other ones that do have government contracts and are guiding lower. So maybe this one isn't really expecting government contracts to end or to get cut, or as many to get cut. So that could be one of the reasons why it's not seeing guidance go lower. I'm just kind of like thinking out loud here, but we have seen some of these cybersecurity firms that we know have government contracts guide lower amidst this whole slashing of government employees and spending, but not this one. So kind of wondering if some of the contracts they have are going to hold up, especially because a lot of them are in NASA and Department of Defense and some are local governments.
Okay, so real quickly here, it's funny that you're talking about government spending on this, because I didn't touch on this when you had joined, when we were talking about Rigetti. Here's the other funny thing about this. This is literally, here we go. The CEO here, along with this, Rigetti expects strong government funding and focus on research and development to keep them competitive, and fidelity and gate speed advancements. So, and then they go on to cite the Department of Energy and the Department of Justice here. So that's kind of interesting to me. We're finding that some of these other companies that are reporting earnings, maybe not saying that, hey, there's headwinds from some of this government cutting. This Rigetti here is saying, no, we're going to get funding. Forget cutting. We're going to get funding, and we're going to rely on that funding. This actually gives you something to look for. If funding gets cut at all for some of these ambitious technology products, I would imagine Rigetti is going to be on the receiving end of that. Yeah. So, you just kind of reminded me about that. Figured I'd throw that out here. But
that's probably something that we could explore, is finding out which one these cybersecurity companies have more secure government contracts versus others. Actually,
I'm not sure how to do that. But that's a really good point. Yeah, no, that's a really good point there. This is how we better ourselves. 2% better every day. Really quick, looking at the Zscaler chart here, we did kind of move off to 200-day. Stop me if you've heard me say that before. Trading up here to the 20-day, we pretty much stopped right there. We'll see if we can get above and run. If we do, the next spot higher here is as clear as day. It's got to be this almost quadruple top-looking thing here at 217.5. So this is definitely going to be your next upside resistance here on Zscaler. If you pop and move above that, I think you do have 260 in sight for your next level higher. You got any levels you want to give here, ZS?
You want to try drawing a trend line?
Sure. We'll try nothing. Do or do not. There is no try.
I think you already can see the one I'm about to tell you. Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
What's interesting is I have on my chart, I have mine coming, going through the December highs. Maybe you might not have all the data going back to 2021 on your chart.
No, it looks like December of 2021 is.
Yeah, we had a little bit higher highs in November, so that's probably why mine looks a little bit different. But that's effectively the gist. So I'm looking for a break over that if we get the upside, because we could see some pretty good movement if we do move back over that.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Let's go ahead and hit the movers. I see you guys. You continue to mention some of these movers like
Let's do
GV,
it.
which that was a look. That was a winner from yesterday.
Yeah.
GV was a huge winner from yesterday. So let's take a look here. We're going to start at the top of the movers list in the pre-market here. Oh, here we go. Here is your GV. Let me see if I can get that shading back here. Here is your GV. We talked about this yesterday. This really had a great afternoon, closing around $3.50. Bang, bang, bang. $6.50 here today. This is still moving off of the news from yesterday. I think this is continued momentum from yesterday. Thank you, producer here. Visionary Holdings shares are trading higher if the company reached a financial consent letter worth $1 billion from a Qatar group to fund and protect R&D and the development of the Pegasus new energy vehicles. GV ramping here in the pre-market. 13, look, what do you think of this? I see here LYYL, interesting handle, is GV stay away. I think GV's extended here. What do you think about staying away?
Well, it's got a lot of attention. It's got a lot of movement, so it might provide some really good trading opportunities. But I agree that this is well extended, beyond where I think it should be trading. So it wouldn't surprise me if this comes back in. But I do have levels, to the upside should this continue to get a move. Now, here's the thing: it has 2.25 million shares in the float, so this is really easy to move around. So we could see, a lot of upside, and we could see some very quick downside as well. That's going to, whether or not you want to trade this is going to be up to you. You're not required to do this, of course. But this does look like there may be a little bit more of a momentum push before we start to see the selling. There's no guarantee of that either. I can provide some upside levels that where I think this could end up going if we do get that. Mm-hmm. Because we've seen plenty of these movers where we're like, oh, this is probably going to go to here, and then it like doubles or triples the price target we initially had. We saw plenty of those, toward the end of the year and beginning of this year. But I didn't really get a good financial read on the company. So, this $1 billion letter of consent, it's nothing guaranteed, but it's a good step in the right direction for the company. So let's just talk levels because I don't really think the fundamentals are going to matter so much here. It's the news is a little bit old. So I would kind of be, I think it might be limited into the amount of upside we'll end up getting today. But if we happen to open and hold over 665, we may end up seeing a run up into the eights. To the upside, I have 885, 10, and then there was one other, hold on, give me 1 second, that I had that was an EMA on the weekly. That's also interesting. That would be 11.
But so far you've said 885 and 10, right?
885, 10, and then 1155. Those would be levels I'd be looking for resistance, maybe some areas to take profit if we do get this continued run out of the open.
Okay. Real good stuff there. I think near term here, 7 is going to be your first test. We really need to get above 7 here to get going on GV. Remember, it is extended, so it's going to take quite a bit of volume to get up to some of those crazy levels that 13 just gave you.
Oh, Jay Harris, don't you worry. I'll get to Tesla.
Yeah, we'll get to Tesla. Let me clean up a couple of these comments here real quick. Sorry that I was going over that. Okay. Stella here first saying market is bloody. Yes, it is. Again, I'm going to reiterate. My question is, does the market bounce because we started here with futures in the red, or do we gap down a little bit more and bounce? Also, keep in mind, I'm going to reiterate. 572 and 3/4 going to be your intraday low from the last 2 days. We'll look at how the market behaves against that. Matthew here saying, good morning, all. I'm in California on business. Good luck, Matthew. Ryan, I found a Dutch Brothers. Matthew, let me ask you, what did you think? Did you like the product? What did you order? Was it sugary? Do you like sugar? Let me know what you think about the product there. I'm curious to your review. It sounds like this is one of the first times that you've tried it based on what you're saying here. Curious on how you feel about that. Anyway, it feels really odd that the market opens at 6:30 a.m. here. Quite the adjustment from my Midwest routine. Good luck. Okay. So you know what's funny about that is that I actually visit one of my buddies who lives in Arizona, and the market opens really, really early there, and you wake up and it's all dark, and you feel like you're the only one that's doing anything because you're the only one waiting for the market. I don't know how West Coast people do it for a long period of time. Shout out to Jay Rice. He's been doing this for a while. I wake up at 4:45 here in Chicago. I wake up at 4:45 a.m. local time, and I am at my desk starting my day at 6 a.m. I can't imagine doing that much earlier every single day. Yeah, day trader here. I like the West Coast traders do it differently. And then Izzy also bringing you another important thing here to remember. Your day ends really early. You get out pretty early. That's one of my favorite things about trading when I'm at my buddies in Arizona. You have an entire day in front of you. Jay, your ears were burning, weren't you? Your ears were burning. Speaking of Arizona, good morning. Zenny here saying it sucks. Look, I start at 5. I start at 5 a.m. Man, I empathize. I'm impressed with your ability to do that day in and day out. Okay, good comment there though, Matthew. And then really quickly, 5:30. I love this. Sorry if you guys already talked about it, but you guys nailed GV. Bought for 230 when it was holding around VWAP. Sold for 610. Thank you so much. I would have never seen this if you guys hadn't talked about it. Okay, so I love what you said in here. The one thing, nope. Keep clapping, 13. Keep clapping because
I did it 3 times. That's enough.
Okay, fine. 5:30. This is you're pretty much outlining the entire goal of this program here. And I like what you said here because the reality is that we helped you identify a ticker to trade, but at the end of the day, it was you who traded it. 13 and I did not press any buttons. We did not command you to buy or sell. You did it on your own. Congratulations, you are now a Jedi. This is exactly what we are trying to do here. The way that you can use our show, I hesitate to use that word because it feels dirty, but for the sake of ease, the way that you can use our show, idea generation, bouncing opinions off of others. And if you think that either 13 or myself is really hot, you can follow. If you think that we're really not, you can fade. Right. So at the end of the day, no matter what it is that you choose to do, please understand that it is you making the decision. It is you accepting the risk. And when things go well, it is you that deserve the reward. We will continue to try and make this a community where we can learn from one another and share ideas and all of that. But never forget that at the end of the day, it is going to be you that does this. And so if you had a really awesome gain on that, pat yourself on the back, get yourself a steak for dinner. Enjoy it. Okay, 13 enough. I just wanted to clean up some of those comments. Let's keep moving here. Looks like the next one on the list here is going to be SCNX, Scienture Holdings. I don't think I'm familiar with this ticker. I don't recognize it. Anyway, this ticker closed around 235 yesterday. We did pop as high as 360 here today. Scienture shares are trading higher after the company partnered with Kindiva to launch a 10 milligram drug nasal spray for opioid overdose treatment. Interesting. So I don't know anything about this drug or this company, but I do understand the importance of opioid overdose treatment. And I think that those products could actually be substantial money makers here. Again, I would need to do some more digging in here to the company. Let's take a quick look around the horn. 0.68% of the float shorted with 1.89 days to cover. That is negligible. Float here of 2.91 million, right in our butter zone. The key takeaway here on this stock is extremely unpopular, I guess, just by the volume numbers. On average, the stock trades 10,000 shares a day. A day. Today, we've traded 7.3 million shares here in the pre-market. So definitely some eyeballs on this one, up 37%. 13, do you have anything here on ticker SCNX?
We did trade this at one point last year. I don't know if it was in March or if it was in July, maybe both. But we have traded this before because I still have levels marked off from when we did trade it. Now those levels aren't going to matter because they're so high up there that I don't think we're going to be seeing that price today. The news is it's pretty interesting. The partnership with Kindera, to bring this to market in a nasal spray, that's great. But I think the bigger news is the fact that SCNX secured the exclusive rights to that particular nasal spray drug. So I think that was the big, to me, that was the bigger news. Okay. They also, when I was looking at their cash, it didn't seem like they had like they would need to raise it, but it looks like after they had their earnings in November, they did a capital raise later that month. And they also secured a $50 million equity line of credit. So they should be just fine on the cash side.
So despite cash flowing negative quarter over quarter, they should have enough cash from some of those other financing opportunities to not dilute shareholders further.
Right.
That's what we're thinking.
That would be my understanding. So I don't think there's any risk of that for now. But I don't think that we're not going to see that reflected in their financials because they've done all that. They announced all that in between their last report and before the one they're going to be having come up later on this month.
Okay.
Now, as far as levels go, we are currently at just above $3, and one of the levels that looks interesting to me is $3.15. So got that one marked off, and if this happens to go on a run, then my next upside targets are going to be somewhere between $3.85 and $3.90. After that, $4.15 and then $4.70.
Okay. All right, good stuff there with some of the levels. SCNX, Science Chur Holdings. Okay, here. Oh man, love this. Stella says, great show ever. I'll take that any day of the week. But this comment here, this really makes me feel warm. I made $9,700 yesterday because you told us not to panic sell the other day. This to me is the chef's kiss because I have learned so many difficult lessons over the course of my brief career. That panic selling, I want to assign like a 95% probability that when you sell out of panic, you will regret that at some point in the future. Maybe not that day, maybe not the next day, but at some point in the future. Charles, to hear that you turned that into a nearly $10,000 profit, that is awesome. And that is exactly this is what separates active traders. You can definitely buy really quality stocks, hold them over the long term, but the more active you are, you're able to do things like this, Charles. This is absolutely awesome. Thanks for sharing. Peter says, Benzinga, love the show. We're all adults making our own decisions. Yep. Indeed. Don't ever forget that. Peter, appreciate you. Dan says, you all do a great job. We really appreciate it. Jay, rubbing it in a little bit here. We play 18 holes after the close. We'll take that though. Okay. All right. I got two more real quick on the movers. Then we're going to go to Tesla. Jay Harris, hold on to your hat there. Don't worry. We're not going to forget. KITT, Nauticus Robotics, trading higher here. Nauticus Robotics shares are trading higher after the company announced the intent to acquire Ctrepid International. Now, unfortunately, I have no idea what Ctrepid International is. That would be the next thing to kind of research here. The stock did pop as high as 135. This came from penny territory. We pulled back a little bit. This is just normal trading action. We've recaptured the VWAP on some pretty decent pre-market volume. So we'll see if this can kind of hold here, get above that 125 level, and then maybe challenge that 135 level. We've traded KIT here before. It has been kind of a disappointment. So let's not forget that. 14% of its float shorted with just 1 day to cover. If there's squeeze here, it should be relatively short-lived. Float of about 6 million. 13, what do you got? KITT.
So I only went over the GV and the SCNX ones. Those are the only two that really looked interesting this morning. But taking a quick look here at KIT, the 6 million share float, in that size that we're looking for to let the stock move around and create opportunities for us. With regard to Ctrepid International, this is very much in line with what KIT already does. They're aquatics and ocean industry robotic autonomous robots for different things that you do underwater. Ctrepid is actually an oil and gas exploration solutions that uses robotics as well. So very much in the wheelhouse there. I don't beyond that. I don't know about how Nauticus intends to utilize a company beyond the obvious. So don't know if there's some other underlying technologies in Ctrepid that they're after or whatnot. But this, I don't think we really have that many great details on this. It says no terms disclosed, so not really sure how much they're going to be paying for this as well. I would just stick to the technical levels at that point, since they don't have any, really strong fundamental gauge on where this is headed. Or how much money is going to be leaving Nauticus as a result of this acquisition. Do see that we have a little bit of short interest, about 14% of the float. That may give it a little bit of a lift here, but it looks like a lot of the movement has already happened in the after hours. yesterday, and we haven't been back up to the 139 level since. But we are moving back up right now. We are above VWAP, so it's possible that we might end up seeing that today. So this is something that I would just kind of wait and let it show us. I think if it gets above 130, that might be the best indicator that we could see this continue to rise up. But I'd be careful with this one closer to the opening bell. I'd want to see what it does first.
Okay. Real good stuff there. Lion saying, and don't forget, I'm not a financial advisor. No, and in fact, we recommend that you get a financial advisor. Get someone that is interested in your finances. Get someone that is obligated to act in your financial interest. Noah saying, are we great yet? Yeah, brother, we're great every day that we are breathing here and we are together. Welcome back. It's good to have you here. Charles is saying, a show that came on this channel after you yesterday gave me ASTS and swore it was his best play. I hit $2 yesterday, up 7 in the pre-market. That was Story Trading. Those guys have done a really good job, and they've hit some of those big movers here. Real quick, Charles, here you go. You want access, scan the QR code here. Do it quickly. Get your phone out, because I got to get back to TRNR, and then I've got to get Jay Harris's Tesla levels before he murks me. Yeah. So there you go. Okay, really cool. I got to turn that off first, and then we can go ahead and do that. Let's go back here real quick. Let's do TRNR real quick. Then let's do Tesla. Then let's fill in whatever time we have remaining. TRNR here popping in the pre-market just over 270, although it's come back in and beneath its VWAP. Interactive Strength shares are trading higher after the company signed a letter of intent, an exclusivity agreement to acquire a connected fitness equipment company. So there you go. Let's take a quick look around the horn here at some of the stats. 6% of its float shorted. 1 day to cover. Really not a whole lot going on there. 1.5 million shares in the float here. And then looking at some of this, Interactive Strength signs a letter of intent and exclusivity agreement to acquire a connected fitness equipment business that earned over $15 million in revenue in 2024. Acquired through an all-stock consideration, says it expects to improve the target's profitability through potential operating synergies. So, 13, what do you think here about this PR and TRNR?
Well, I think that them picking up a company that is doing much better than them in revenue is probably a good business move. Don't know what the what kind of figures they're talking for this acquisition. They didn't cover this one, so I don't know if there was any numbers thrown around or not. But the thing that is standing out to me, and it's not having anything to do with the news, it's more of the technicals here. I don't like the way this is trading in the pre-market here. It seems like this may end up going lower, just because it seems to have a bit of a head and shoulders pattern going here. You're on the 5 minute there, okay? So it looks a little bit different than mine, but to me, this looks a little bearish. I think this is another one that I'd be careful, going into the open. But there is an interesting trend line if you draw the highs from pre-market yesterday through the highs of pre-market today. That would be an interesting trend line I'd be keeping an eye on to see if we do get up there. We would have to recapture VWAP to get up there. So that's going to be the thing that I'll be watching for with this, is just what happens with VWAP. If this continues to head lower towards some of the EMAs that I have here, like 65 and 200, then I'm thinking that that's the resolution of this head and shoulders pattern that I see here in the pre-market 5 minute chart. But if we bounce, then we're going to be paying attention to that VWAP and to the trend line that you just drew there.
Okay, good stuff there. TRNR. See if we get a trade here out of this one. I'd like to, like you had already said there, I'd like to see this move through VWAP there. Okay, let's go to the bigger chart tool, and it's Tesla time, Jay Harris. Right. And you know what, Danny, I know you were asking about NVIDIA. We might roll right into that as well. Let's do Tesla here, ticker TSLA. Here are some of your levels. Here's the actual the daily chart here. I'm going to make this a little bit easier for us to see. And you can see that we are holding, and it might be a little bit here, well, we're going to need those. We are holding here beneath the 200-day. Remember yesterday when I was telling you about Tesla, we basically had a candle that was a fairly neutral candle, in my opinion, and it basically traded between two of these fib levels that we have identified here. Those are going to be the 0.618 and the 0.786 level on that Fibonacci extension, which is what we used here on Tesla. So we're pretty much in that range. I would look today for a recapture of that level. We're currently sitting here at 271 here in the pre-market, so we're pretty much right in the midpoint of that. The big thing, the big takeaway here for me is if we can recapture this 200-day close above it, I think that sets up for a move higher in Tesla over the next couple of days. We'll see if we end up getting, I don't know if we're going to get that. Could easily use that level there as resistance. By the way, that 200-day, that level, 280.81. So 9 points higher than where we were at. This is basically where we fell from in the pre-market. So here you go. We're a little bit under that. We basically fell away from this area. The question for me is, can we get this back here? 13, did you have any levels that you wanted to give out here to our group?
Still looking at that 273.60 level that I gave y'all one that hit the low on Friday. That was February 28th. That was where we ended up bouncing off of when we were testing the 200-day SMA initially. Rebounded, went back to 300, and then that was on Monday, and then on Tuesday we fell right through the 200-day SMA and closed beneath that 273.60. Went above it yesterday, back beneath it this morning. I still think it's a level, especially when you mark off 273.60, and then you look at smaller time frames. You can see that the price interaction with that particular level has been pretty frequent. So I would like to see recapture of that level first off. But to your point about getting above the 200-day SMA, I think that really does need to happen, because if we don't get that recapture today, that'll be the third close beneath it in a row.
And it'll become even more sticky resistance.
Yeah. So I think that we do need to see a recapture of that 200, or else there could be further downside head. We may end up filling that gap, the rest of that gap that was created between Tuesday, November 5th to the 6th, which was, the election. So that gap being filled, looking like a possibility if we cannot recapture that 200-day SMA.
Okay. There you go. Izzy here throwing out rumors that they are asking Elon to step down. I can see that. I would imagine that if there is any step down, it would only be temporary. He actually commented on the most recent Rogan podcast that he corrected some rumors that someone else started Tesla. It's just simply not true, and didn't sound like he'd be willing to necessarily give that up for the rest of his life. But anyway,
did he get his compensation package, or is that still being withheld?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Because
chat, does anyone know the answer to that? That's a good question. 13. Damn.
I felt like that was still held up with the Delaware court. I don't know that for a fact. I just thought that it hasn't been resolved, and if it hasn't, and that's still an ongoing thing, there could be an ugly fight in Tesla if he's being asked to step down. It's like, well, yeah, okay, pay me first, and then maybe I will. But
no way he's stepping down without the payment. I'll tell you that.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. I think. Okay, so it's still being withheld. We might so that would be the big thing that I'd be concerned about, is if it's being withheld and they're asking for him to step down, then prepare for a nasty showdown in Tesla. That would be what I'd be thinking.
Yeah, there you go. And I was going to say, I recall the spat of that kind of going back and forth, but I do not recall any resolution to that. Looks like the chat hooking us up. Thank you, Rakesh, Anthony, Izzy. Producer, you guys are the absolute best. Okay, that is our levels here on Tesla. Let's also do NVIDIA, since Danny asked so nicely. Let's do that here real quick. Ticker NVDA. This has just been fairly orderly to trade here. We were clearly in the parallel channel. The parallel channel is clearly helping us and behaving here. We recently traded back up to the midline, were rejected. We were also, this trend line 13, I'm pretty sure you had me draw this one. This was April 2024 through the yen carry trade low. We actually we didn't quite bounce back up to that, but we bounced up to that level, still couldn't get above it. Here we are, NVIDIA down 3.4%. This clearly down with the rest of the market here. NASDAQ, by the way, looking like it might run lower here out of the open. So as far as NVIDIA levels here, one of the things that I'd really like to see, remember, we are beneath the 200, and we've had more than enough closes for that to be significant resistance on the way back up. Let's see now if we can start to move towards the bottom end of this channel. 105 seems to be the next level there that this could get to. Maybe it won't get there today, but I'd watch that 105 level. That'll change, obviously, the longer it takes to get down to this channel. 13, did you have anything you wanted to go over with here?
I agree with the assessment that this is going down to the bottom of this parallel channel. That may have been one of the things I said earlier this week as well. One other level to consider is 113. That was where this last month, February. That's where they pretty much had their low printed on Monday the 3rd. So I think when we were testing that level earlier this week, that was an important support area. We did get a little bit of a bounce off there, and now we're testing it again. I think if we close beneath that, beneath the 113, which we have not done yet since testing it a couple of times, that might be the accelerant down to the bottom of this channel if we do get that close beneath it. So that would be what I'd be looking for with NVIDIA.
Okay. There you go on NVIDIA. Day trader here saying he did not start the company, saying Elon bought into Tesla in 2004. Listen to his last Rogan podcast. He covers that entire thing in there. I didn't do it. I'm not going to fight you on it. He did make a point of covering that in a little bit more depth. Okay, really good stuff here with the NVIDIA levels. We'll see where we end up going. We had people calling for this to break 100 in the happy hour. We also talked about this really having more room to move down despite this kind of being the darling. This is another one that we've really kind of talked about with some of these earnings multiples here. This 26.5 PE, traditionally this came from low teens and single digits. So there's still some more room down here if that continues to go. I think Tim from our group was saying 80, some sub 100 print there on NVIDIA. So nonetheless, I still think there's some more room down here on NVIDIA. And again, looking at the cues here this morning, it actually looks like this is going to gap down right out of the open.
Captain Obvious AF, NVIDIA should not have split. There's two sides to that, and I tend to lean towards that with in agreeing with you because it only just made the float larger and harder to trade. At the same time, if they hadn't split, they may have been pricing out a lot of retail from being able to pick this up because of how expensive it was. So, double-edged sword the split has been, in my opinion. But looking in hindsight, it probably doesn't seem like it was a very good idea at this point, seeing as how it's only weighed on the stock more than helped lift it up.
So looking here at the futures, I had mentioned that we were up off the lows earlier on the futures. We are right back down there across the board. We're open here. I'm expecting a move down here. We'll see. We'll see what we get. We are open. The casino is open, folks.
Yeah, right.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
All right, so initial move here with GV is opening beneath the VWAP and trying to move over it. Still looking for 665 here. Looking like in the pre-market, we ended up with a double top in GV. That's not looking great. Be careful with GV.
I want my shading back here. Come on.
SCNX, that one's up higher. That one's already above the 315 level I was looking at. Pre-market high. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, pre-market high in this one, 362. Looking for 385 to 390 as the next upside level here in SCNX. Looks like we're getting a move down with the Qs out of the gate. What's Kit doing? Kit dropping.
My God.
TRNR trying to hang out above its 65 EMA. Looking a little bit weaker with GV.
SCNX, watch for this pre-market high break here as this is trading up. Watch that 350 level here on SCNX. I actually put this up on a different screen here as well.
Yeah, I don't want to make a big prediction. Okay, well, I guess I don't have to.
I was going to say right through that. I couldn't even get an order set up for it.
Excuse me. So look, this one looking like it's trying to take out its pre-market high. That's 362 on the way.
And it went right to 361 and it's pulling now here. Watch the VWAP here. I've got this at 316, 312 here in Trading View. I still want to get my shading back here.
Okay, so that pulling a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't lose the 315 level. I think that's a little bit more of a support area now at this stage. GV trying to turn positive still. Is mostly sideways at the moment. Kit,
it's holding on to its VWAP so far here at 6.
Kit.
GV.
Hopefully
sorry to interrupt. SCNX trying to bounce and go back towards the highs here. You're talking about KIT, KITT?
Yeah. Hope the warning was heated there. That one just down right out of the gate. Wasn't looking that great. I think this was wasn't this the one that I said the head and shoulders? It may have been TRNR. No, it was TRNR.
That was TRNR. Yeah.
That's also kind of down out of the gate as well, but trying to hold the 65 EMA. So most of that pattern seems to have been resolved, but I think it still could get down to about the 230s before we start seeing it turn bullish.
CrowdStrike here after its weak pre-market bouncing right out of the open. Also seeing some calls get bought here for CrowdStrike. Aggressive, but not huge. I'll see if we get any type of repeat sweep action there. CRWD. More also seeing some calls getting bought in Moderna and Coinbase. Moderna rejected at its VWAP. How's Coinbase doing here today? Also, quick looking at Bitcoin. I didn't mention that. Sorry about that. The futures here actually breaking 90K to the downside. 89,750 on your futures at the CBOE.
Now, Carmen, I don't necessarily know if we're seeing a flight of money out of the market or if it's. I think this is more of just rotating into different names. I'm not necessarily certain that we're seeing money leave the market. I think this is more of a rotation.
Yeah,
I might be wrong about that, though.
I don't think you are wrong about that. We've been seeing a rotation for a while, and we've talked with a number of guests mentioning how orderly the move down feels here. To me, that absolutely feels like rotation. We're seeing that, and in some of the days that we've actually seen the market really getting hit, I've been trying to make more of a point to kind of go to the heat map here because in almost every case, we're able to find out where there's some type of pocket of strength that people seem to be rotating into. So far here, this looks pretty red. Healthcare consumer staples seem to be the strongest of the two sectors.
So TRNR got the support from 65 EMA. That's trying to push up through VWAP up to the trend line I had you draw. So this one looking like it's trying to turn around here. Just be careful with it. This was the I don't think I was too savvy on this one, but hey, it looks like it's curling. So maybe it's providing a trade for us. Needs to break that trend line for me to be really interested in this.
Coming right up here to the VWAP. SCNX, by the way, rejected at that high again. Big pull here on volume through the VWAP to the downside. I'd be careful with that one. We actually want to see that firm up now before we try either catching the knife or taking a stab at that.
Yeah, and then you have KIT and TRNR. Those are trying to turn positive. TRNR looking a little bit better. KIT trying to go green, trying to recapture VWAP. Meanwhile, GV still struggling with that 665 level, and VWAP for that matter. SCNX kind of in the same situation, trying to hold on to 315 and recapture VWAP. Not looking great at the moment.
GV, nice little bounce here off that $6 level. So far, it's held 6. Watch a move here to 7. I'm going to put GV on my other window here.
It looks like TRNR is trying to get above VWAP. This volume doesn't look great, though.
Volume prints looking good here in GV. Wow, still looks like a lot of buying action here. No position for me on this one, but it's moved away from its VWAP. This was pretty good if you took that trade. I still think this goes to 7 here.
Yeah, it looks like it's trying to get to 7 and try to break that 714, 715 area that it was getting rejected at a couple of times in pre-market. We move through that, then I definitely think, and it's just my opinion, I think that we're going to see go into the 8s, 885 being the next upside target I have.
Okay. Big pull in a lot of stocks out of the open here. Tesla, same deal. Tesla, another move to the lows here, 265 through yesterday's intraday low. Looks like we're setting up to test 262 here from Tuesday. GV still slowing down here prior to getting to 7. And the SPY here, we are still another point away from that 272 and change level that it should find some support. More room down here on SPY, at least from looking at the intraday chart.
Oh, well done, Anthony. I appreciate the comment. Looks like TRNR broke through VWAP. This one looking a little bit more likely of heading toward that trend line that I had to draw. So maybe we see some resistance up around the 270 area if it gets up there. The volume's just not great in TRNR, so I don't know how much of that upside we're going to get.
This 256 level seems to be pretty important to me. Really kind of needs to move through that.
All right, so
doesn't have the strength to do it yet.
Yeah, I'm just keep an eye on the volume. Like I think that's going to tell you whether or not these are going to end up getting to those levels I had mentioned. Volume seems to be pretty. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say volume looks all right for now in GV. Just need to just get above that 665 and hold it. And SCNX volume isn't looking as good, nor is it really looking that great with KIT. But it seems like TRNR is starting to expand the volume a little bit, and MACD is beginning to curl. Sorry, go ahead.
Bitcoin is trying to bounce here, but not showing a lot of strength. VIX is trading up out of the open, 24.5, almost there. Excuse me. NBIS, another AI name that's been a pretty good runner, smacked. Tesla, smacked. Goldman Sachs, smacked. Netflix, smacked. Amazon actually trying to bounce as well, so that's actually firming up a little bit. AppLovin, smacked. Sub 300 now on AppLovin. Okay, so we're definitely getting that little bit of a gap down weakness here. We'll see if that ends up turning around. TRNR, by the way, now through the VWAP here and starting to build above it. Get your buy list ready. You're damn right. Get your buy list ready.
Yep. Excuse me. So do you have a different chart that has the trend line for TRNR? Because we're not too far away from it.
Yeah, that was in the movers. Basically, what you were asking for, I believe, was the pre-market high of yesterday through the pre-market high of today. And let me extend this so it's a little bit more. This is the trend line that you had me draw earlier.
Yeah, that's probably going to initially be resistance, but if we start getting above it, we could see a little bit of a run. Just don't know how much.
Apple, interestingly, bucking the trend here. Okay, Apple trading up right out of the open, going for that trend line that we lost yesterday. A recapture of that would be notable. SCNX trying to get through its VWAP and hold through its VWAP. Looks like it was rejected at that pre-market high once already. GV here looks like it's trying to resettle at its VWAP or come back in towards its VWAP. We'll see if it can hold right there. I want to try it, but I'm nervous about trying it at the same time.
You're not alone.
Yeah, you too, huh?
I think just the way it was kind of topping out in the pre-market, I would want to see I want to see some candles close above 665 because I just don't feel great about trying to trade this after it put in a double top. So I want to kind of see some of these levels that it was finding resistance and validated. And if we get that, then I'll be a little bit more bullish. But right now, I'm not sure if I want to jump in this as of yet.
Yeah.
Don't let me stop you, folks, either.
No, it is tough though. I'm looking at two different VWAP values. Right in the broker here, I've got it at 611, and in Trading View here, I've got it at 604. This thing just pulled to 603 and bounced pretty good on volume right there. I don't want to chase this bounce up. Here we go. Now we're starting to come back in, but that actually was a little bit of a play there. I'd be nervous doing anything with GV at this point. Yeah, facts. Me too.
Right.
That's why I'm trying to make sure that my entry is tip top. And if I do enter this, the other thing is I will have an extremely tight stop on this one.
Yeah,
I don't. If this moves against me, I'll sell it and wait to rebuy it. I got to time this one correctly.
Yeah, and there might be something else that sets up that provides a better trade. So that's what I'm also looking around for. Just all the four that we looked at this morning, the four movers, are just kind of going sideways right now. Let's take a look at some of these other
AGMH,
names.
this is this junky penny stock here. This is above the VWAP. See if that goes. Not really going to cover or do that one. It's just kind of a penny stock. Good luck if you're trading that one. SCNX trying to get through the VWAP, struggling still. Really need to see a move and a build instead of a move and pull through that level. KITT holding its pre-market low so far. Burlington Stores, I almost called it Burlington Coat Factory just out of habit. Burlington Stores are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q4 financial results. Stock here looks like it's running into some resistance at 270, but it's not giving back its gains here despite some of the selling pressure, doing a really good job holding its VWAP. I'll tell you what, if this selling gets exhausted, it's possible you get a breakout here, ticker BURL above 270. I wonder what those calls are. Hang on a sec.
Jonathan Cooper mentioning TNXP is moving. That's up 18% now. Let me see if I can get some levels here for you.
Never mind on that call here. The March monthly contract, the 270, there is 3 contracts traded at that expiry and only 433 in the open interest with a dollar spread. I think you're probably better off trading the stock on that one.
For TNXP, should this momentum continue, it looks like 1630 could be an interesting level of resistance. After that, maybe 1875. So
this one did a pretty substantial reverse, didn't it?
I think it may have.
One for 100 earlier this month. Yeah.
So let's see. That was what, 1625. Let's just go with that. 1625, 1875, and then 22. That would be my upside levels for TNXP.
Okay.
LAES, is he? I'll take a look.
Mansour, we're not really covering AGMH. It's a 19-cent stock. We don't really have levels for it. Sorry, my man.
So with LAES, that almost got down to its 200-day SMA. Didn't quite touch it, but pretty close. Maybe it did it in the pre-market. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at smaller time frames. Let me pull this up and see if I can find levels for this down here.
LAES, this dip in VWAP recover, not terrible here. Let me see what the, by the way, GV on its way back up here, crossing 650. That bounce off 6 was it happened fast, but it worked, at least so far. See if we can get above that high here. It's still going. I swear, I'm going to change away from this. It's going to rip through that 680 spot. I can feel it.
I think it'd have to. Otherwise, it could be very bad.
Okay, let me see what the tape looks like here for LAES. Yeah, that one volume spike, and then the volume kind of died off here. This is still struggling to get through some of its pre-market levels. I'm going to go back to GV here.
Yeah, for LAES, the thing I would just pay attention to is what happens around 275. It still needs to get up there. There's some consolidation in the pre-market that pretty much ends in the middle of 260. Still holding above VWAP, but I would need to see it get above. I think I would need to get above 265 in order for me to be interested in this, because I don't think I'd want to buy it here. I'd have to hold above VWAP for a little bit longer for me to get interested. Slow moving right now too. SCNX starting to push back up again. Looking like it's trying to go higher here.
350. It's still maintained that's a spot.
Yeah, that's trying to get that. There's certainly a lot of sellers there. They're trying to chew through all that.
So let's see what the Twitter streets are doing here today.
Just need a little bit more volume to take us through there, through 350. And if it does, then maybe we may end up breaking that 362 pre-market high.
Does anyone have any experience with a good ad blocker? My uBlock origin got removed from Google because the extension is no longer supported. And the next one, AdBlock, all it is trying to get you to buy an ad blocker.
My experience that I've been seeing. Here we go with the 350 on SCNX.
SCNX, yeah, good call. Sorry about the random question.
No, it's okay. I've heard, and I haven't tried it, but I've heard if you just turn that off and turn it back on, it should resolve the issue. Otherwise, they have uBlock Origin Lite that you can get.
Okay, because uBlock Origin is far superior, and it doesn't try to get you to waste money on it. That's just unbelievable. And I can't close this window. AdBlock, you're just such garbage. Absolute garbage.
SCNX really running into trouble with that 350 area. Not able to get above it quite yet.
Okay.
Looks like Kit was continuing to sell down. It's down at the pre-market lows. Might be finding a bid here. GV still not able to get back above that 665. I'm a little concerned about this one, even being able to get over that now. Don't like the way those first 5 minute, the few 5 minute candles we had out of the open look.
Lower highs on those 5-minute candles and wicks above.
Yeah.
Combination of both of them. U Matrix free and better than U Block. Thank you, Robert. I knew someone was going to know. You guys are awesome.
Excellent.
U Matrix. I will check that out. Adding that to the list.
All right. So SCMX not looking like it's going to get above that 360 area yet. Still holding above VWAP though, but looking a little weak here. Oh, they are trying to keep this from going down, aren't they?
Brave browser has one built in. Yeah, I've heard good things about Brave. Don't have that though. Good call there on GV, by the way. That thing kind of pulled right to the VWAP there, 610.
Yeah, be careful with these. These are looking a little dangerous. TNXP though, that one continues to move up. 1388 is now the intersession high, though I would be a little bit cautious about this current candle we have here. Could be putting in a bit of a reversal.
GV trying to go maybe if on a shakeout there. By the way, CEG here, multiple repeat put sweeps, aggressive and in size here. All of them over 100 contracts per, some over 200. So this was a energy play that we had talked about on the back of the AI trade. Jay, you were just talking about this one being absolutely shellacked recently. Look at the pullback here in CEG. This is actually below support. I think we fill this gap down here to 205. I would imagine that that's what those puts are. Seeing multiple put sweeps here following one another. Ticker CEG. Looks like more downside here, down 4.6% this morning.
GV still not finished, but I would still treat this with an abundance of caution.
Abundance.
It's coming back up to that 665 area. Is this going to be the one that breaks through? I think it'd have to be. But you already had those three upper shadows in the previous candles that are kind of indicating that there's a lot of sellers right about this area here. Maybe the volume comes in and it wipes them all out. We'll see.
Don't see anything crazy on the Twitter streets.
Is he filled at 202.87 on Amazon? Nice job.
I am not on the Amazon trade here today. SPY came in towards yesterday's intraday low. Still wonder if there's another 2-point pull down here to the 572 level, 573, 572 and a half. Qs are holding in there. Dow's holding in there. Market is trying to bounce and firm up, but we'll see if it's successful.
Oh, yeah, that's a great point. Does Buddy have any trade ideas today? What's his pick of the day?
So it's funny that you mentioned that. So Buddy picked a winner yesterday, and then I started to talk
GV.
to.
Sorry.
What?
I was just saying GV. It's trying to still go here, but it's anyway. Sorry to interrupt you.
It's okay. It's through 650. 680 is the next level on its way to 7 if it gets there.
There it goes.
Is Buddy still a cat? Still in cat? I don't know. He's not in cat. He is a cat, but he's not in cat. Yesterday, producer asked me if Buddy liked the idea of buying SPY calls, and he said a meow would suffice as a yes. So I asked Buddy, and he just yawned at me. Producer said, puts it is. And here we go today. So Buddy is now 2 for 2 on his market calls. He hasn't made one today. I think that he's taking his mid-morning nap.
I'd like to petition a banner to keep track of when office assistant has calls. So he's 2 for 2 now. SCNX really pulling here now. You might see some of that with GV here in a bit if it loses VWAP. Kit coming down to its pre-market lows, and TRNR trying to bounce off of its 200 EMA. Lots of things getting hammered right now.
Oh, so this is a pretty good question here. Average options saying, what does it take to be considered the beginning of a bear market? Now, I'd really like to get a group consensus here. From everything that I've been, told by more experienced folk, and also just kind of what I've read, bear markets really equate to a 20% pullback.
Yeah.
So, is that right? 13. Is it? Would
Off,
you agree with that?
yeah, off the highs. Yeah.
The highs.
Yeah.
20% drop constitutes a bear market. So now you asked for the start of a bear market. So if you want the start of I got to know what you mean, because one of the things that we talk about on Happy Hour all the time is the condition of the tape right now. And it's been like this for a while. It feels like we're in a bearish tape. Are we in really a bear market? Well, no, we haven't pulled back 20% from the highs, but the tape feels bearish. So the beginning of a bear market? What do you really mean by that? We're in a bearish tape. I would not consider this a bear market. In fact, I was telling you folks that the 5% pullback level that we found ourselves at was nothing outside of normal trading. Anne Marie agreed yesterday. So refine that a little bit. 20% is the actual answer to your question, but I understand what you might be asking, because the tape absolutely feels bearish and has for what feels like several weeks at this point now.
Yeah, we barely just got through 5% pullback, so we're still in a little bit more of a corrective phase here. We could be in that corrective phase for quite some time before we get into bear market territory. SPY would have to come down pretty significantly, under 500 as well. So a little ways to go for that to start happening, to start getting that official title of bear market.
But there you go. GV continuing to this thing is just all over the place here, trying to get going again. I would watch for a gigantic yank on this. I would be careful about this.
Yeah, not getting able to close above that 665 level that I've been screaming about all morning. That's what really is worrying me about trying to long position at this stage here. Yeah.
NBIS did try to bounce a little bit here.
You got GV going sideways, SCNX at pole trying to recover. KIT not new lows, but it's losing its 200 EMA on the 5-minute. TRNR trying to turn around here in between a couple of EMAs. Not sure if we're getting a reversal on that yet. TNXP starting to put in some upper shadows here after its nice run that it had this morning. 1388 is the current intra-session high. VWAP I have at 1286, so that's the level to watch for support.
Rigetti jamming folks here today. At least that's what it feels like here to me. Lauren, you were mentioning this. Izzy, I know you're mentioning a huge reversal. Jane, I think you were on this earlier when this was making its first move above 750. I'm sorry I didn't get to it earlier here. Rigetti, this a big time jam here is what it feels like. 22% of the float shorted. They reported a Q4 revenue miss. Didn't look great here. Looks like shorts are just being pressed on Rigetti.
Yep.
GV, by the way, back up to that spot that we talked about. Watch the 680 spot here on GV.
Yeah, I'd like to see this candle close above 665. This 5-minute candle, because that's just kind of what I've been watching. It looks like it's trying to push up into this 680 area, like you were saying.
I'll tell you what, I'm with Gary here. It looks like this is going to go. Just kind of watching the price action here, it looks like this is going to go through 680. If you're trading this, though, be careful. We've already watched this thing pull back quickly a number of times here this morning. Just have a plan. Here, 680 up. It's been rejected here thrice already this morning.
In the regular session, it's been also rejected multiple times in the pre-market.
Pre-market, yeah.
No, it's really just
here we go.
Hammering it, isn't it?
They're printing at 682. I see 680 on the tape.
Yep.
Not strong enough on that first attempt. Here comes the second.
They really just need a larger volume to
I gotta say, I wonder if this might pull if it goes through it too. So maybe even selling into the pop it might be the way to go. I have no position on this one. I missed my entry, so still nothing here on this. But I'm watching it. Okay, pulling off of it a little bit here. All right, 13. I'll be right back. Give me 1 second.
No problem. So with that getting pulled a little bit, let's see what happens here. It's still above VWAP and just kind of going sideways. Really need to see that 680 get taken out here. And there's a lot of There's a lot of orders in the way. Just popped up to 680 again. Could not get above it. What a wild one this is this morning. SCNX. This one's still looking like it could be going lower. Trying to get some support here. I say that, and then it just gets some movement up here. Needs to get back to VWAP and over that. I have VWAP at 322. Kit still down at the 200 EMA, trying to reverse. Very low volume. I don't know that I'd even be wanting to trade this yet until the volume starts to expand. TRNR also kind of hanging out here down around the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. Also at the some of these lows after the impulse move earlier this morning. So getting support at that area. Let's see if it can hold 240. TNXP still don't like these upper shadows. We may end up getting a test of VWAP soon. And LAES still trying to push up higher, but not yet up to the pre-market high 276.
GV couldn't do it, huh?
It did get a pop up.
Yeah.
It did get a popped up to 7, so that was nice.
So did you folks sell? Like I was just saying before I stepped away, and I said I think it's going to go, and I think it's probably going to pull after this pop, and you should probably sell into the break.
I was buying very small amounts at VWAP, and when it would pop up to 680, I was just selling it. So just kind of that's all I did, and it wasn't very much. It was very small amounts. So because I was nervous about what's happening now. So, but anyway,
sweet one. This is something. So this is actually look at the nasty pull now on GV, guys. I felt that one coming. Halt to the downside here, coming 593. Sweet one here. This is something that we have discussed quite a bit here, but you're actually adding another angle to this that we had not discussed. I feel like pretty much all the quantum stuff has such a hype wave. It'll be a few years, few is being generous, in my opinion, before they get steady rise again. Oh, I see, but you're talking about the stock price. Never mind. Reminds me of a smaller version of the 3D printing hype. This is a really good comp. I totally understand what you're talking about. The 3D printing hype, when it first started, had all of this kind of lofty stuff, and it was a ways away. You know what 3D printing does? It makes little trinkets like this water filter analog from Escape from Tarkov, or this coaster that my friend made me here from another game that we were going to play. This is basically, 3D printing. There was so much hype. There was so much hype, and it just didn't pan out. Now, it might still, because there's medical applications, there's all types of other applications. But man, oh man, this is a really good comp. I think that this feels a lot like 3D printing. I'm with you, one.
SCNX now above its VWAP. This might get going here. But to the point about 3D printing, Izzy, that's a great point. 3D printing can make firearms or firearm components.
I'm pretty sure that's illegal, and I don't even want to broach that. I'm not even talking about that.
Then I'll talk about the legal side of 3D printing then. SpaceX is actually using it to make some of their components for their Starship. So, and then you also have 3D printed homes that are now starting to be, you've seen that. They're using concrete out of a extruder to 3D print homes. So there are a lot of different 3D applications, 3D printing applications that are being, employed right now. But I think it was completely overhyped.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And so we are seeing some of the results, and I don't think anybody's really talking about how much 3D printing has worked out for a lot of companies, because it's kind of normalized now.
Yeah. Anthony here. Ryan, you're a genius. Thank you for the heads up on the fall. The GV call and the big drop was amazing. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. They're really just the kind of lesson here. The reason that I said that, just so you're aware, it continued, like there's clearly interest here, right? We didn't have one big volume spike and then a fall off. We had continued volume fluctuations here. And if you look at the price, we had continued violent moves off of the VWAP to the highs. So my thought here was, well, eventually they're going to knock this down, but sellers have not dissipated at all yet this morning. What do you think is going to happen when that higher level gets knocked down? Yeah, the sellers are going to step in. The buyers have now been exhausted trying to break this level multiple times already here today. So to me, just felt like this was really, really going to sink if it breaks above that level. Anthony, I hope you made some money on that trade. Really, another question here. James is asking, why did GV trading get halted, or any other stock for that matter? Too volatile of a move in too short of a time. If you want the actual rules, I'll go ahead and throw a great Investopedia link that explains the halt rules for some of these stocks. We see this a lot with some of the smaller names that are trading on just really ridiculous volume.
And there was a great point that was brought up about how when GV was halted, there was a lot of movement into some of the other names that we were, other movers that we were looking at, because when something like that that's got a lot of attention on it gets halted, then traders just move right on to the other movers, and we've seen that happen many times before. So they went over to SCNX, and it looks like they started playing around with KIT and TNXP and some of these other ones. Because look at TNXP, that just had a really nice pop up to 1490. Shortly after the GV halted. So, you're going to see that a lot. And once GV unhalts, you may end up seeing a lot of these other names that are getting attention start to lose a little bit of volume. So, you are going to get that correlation.
Market is bouncing here. We want to make sure this is not just kind of a head fake. Remember, we've talked a lot about bear market tapes really having some pretty extravagant bounces in them in some of the names. We are bouncing here on the SPY and the Qs. We want to see if that can continue here. Another question here. Jeff is asking, are we well into correction territory now? Well, we just were talking about bear market territory and what percentage that equates to. I would say, to answer your question just outright, Jeff, no. I would say we're not in correction territory. Correct me if I'm wrong, but a correction is 10% or more?
Yeah.
So we're currently sitting right at 5%. And this, again, is why I was trying to highlight this earlier in the week. And I don't want to speak for Anne-Marie when she's not here, but I'm assuming that this is kind of what she was referring to. When we talked about 5% pullback really not being that big of a deal. Yeah, it can feel like that, especially if it's really concentrated like it has been in some of these AI-based names. But this is just a 5% pullback. This is normal trading. Normal trading. 10%, I think, represents a correction. 20% represents a bear market.
Yeah, we won't hit 10% until we get down to 551.91. It's a trap, says Buffalo Bicycle. It's a trap.
Say less. Question here about Acon.
Oh, great mention, LAES C-spot. That is up almost to the pre-market high.
Acon, this was a mover from yesterday. This is down 84% here today.
Oh, there must be something else happening with
this
that.
Moved from $7 down to $1.15. What did we have here? We had an offering. Let's see.
Expansion plans?
Yeah, expansion plans. So Clarion expansion plans with RadNet affiliates in New York and New Jersey. I don't know. I would have to read through this here.
Yeah, I think I was just about to say that.
They just not have cash, and they're trying to expand, which is going to require cash, and people know they're going to dilute the shares. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, I
don't have cash. Do they have a history of splits? Let's see. In fact, they do have a history of reverse splits. They did a 1 for 370 at the end of January. I'll be honest with you, folks. This Acon, this feels scammy. 13, what am I missing here?
Well, its revenues come from one source. I don't necessarily know how. I'm not going to make any guesses here. I don't know exactly what's going on with this, but I'm sure give me enough time, and I'll pinpoint the reason, but I don't think, for the purposes of what we're trying to do here in the morning with trading, I didn't want to spend time doing that.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I would stay away. I wouldn't even necessarily play this for a bounce. I'm worried that some of the people are holding this. And that's why they're asking. I'm sorry if that's the case. The only thing I can really say here, and it's not really going to help you, is that this is one of the reasons why on these junkier names we continue to make these day trades and not overnight swings. We do that all the time. We're almost always flat on these numbers here. By the way, market really starting to bounce now.
No, Danielle, it's not required to happen in the same day. It just has to be 10% lower off of the highs that it had put in. So our all-time high in SPY, let's see here, that was I think 613.23 is what it was. Yes, so 613.23, 5% down from that would be 582.57, and 10% down from that would be 551.91. So whenever it gets there, provided it doesn't make new all-time highs. Looks like KIT is starting to come back. It is returned to its VWAP. So 200 EMA on the 5-minute, providing some support here. Still don't like the volume, very, very low, but it is making its way back up to test VWAP. GV still halted, SCNX. This one looks like it's trying to break an intra-session trend here. If you want to draw a trend line there, you look at the peaks we've put in just in the regular session here, starting at 935, 950, and the one we just had 5 minutes ago. We're trying to break that. If we don't, then I think we lose the 315 level and VWAP.
Okay, real quick here. Sorry, I was trying to listen. Howard Lutnick is on CNBC Live right now. By the way, big time shout out to Sarah Eisen, who's doing the interview. She's hitting him. She's hitting him with the questions that we would want to ask. She's not just lobbing up softballs. She's actually trying to hit him with important questions here. Lutnick is basically saying that they hope to have an agreement here today. That is probably why the market is rebounding here. They hope for this to be signed today. That I haven't heard everything that he said, so I might be missing something here. I will keep an eye on Twitter to see what kind of quotes come out of this exchange here. But right now, he's basically saying we're looking to stop the flow of fentanyl and fentanyl ingredients. And they hope to reach a deal here today. And it's going to be more than just autos that the tariffs do not apply to. Market straight up since this interview has started. Up
to a previous all-time high of 577 and 71 cents. Currently,
that's right. You got all those levels marked off.
Those previous all-time highs have been absolutely phenomenal for all the downside movement here. So every time we get to some of these levels, it's finding support, and when it reverses, it hits some of these other previous all-time highs as resistance. They're just really, really great levels, and kind of glad I marked all of them off on the way up here. And right now, that 577.71 has been the resistance level all through this morning. And even in the pre-market, as soon as we lost that, early in the AMs around 425, has not been able to recapture it.
I think someone mentioned Cracker Barrel earlier. Can't remember. CBRL here. This is actually building above the VWAP. Maybe a pop through 50 on Cracker Barrel. Not one that I trade and really have experience with, though.
How'd you going on ASTS? That's still moving, right? It's still moving up. It looks like it's just put in a new inter-session high and trying to consolidate for more upside movement. We'll see. SCNX might be breaking that trend. Do you want to put a trend line on there? Because
Sure.
You can see what I'm looking at here.
So I see. You don't even have to tell me.
Yep. There you go.
I was going to say that one was fairly obvious right there.
Yeah, it's trying to take that out right now, and if it does, then we're looking to move beyond 360 up to the 385, 390 area.
Okay,
has to hold VWAP though.
TNXP is running. ELF is bouncing. SPY, by the way, that bounce continuing here, 577 and change. Jesse, Ryan, absolutely love the watch and the new features coming out this month, especially the loss of pulse feature, and trading stonks on the watch is amazing. You trade stocks on your Google Pixel watch, bro. You got some stones, man. I would never even attempt that. On the go while at work, LOL. Jesse, I'm glad that you like the watch. Glad that it's working out. I'm a huge proponent of smartwatches. I do love them. Didn't think I was going to because I do like luxury watches as well. But, man, smartwatches work. I'm with you on that. Trading stocks on his watch. 13, would you ever try that?
Oh, man. I'm a little nervous just trading it on my phone.
I was going to say, I'm scared to do it on my phone. My laptop and my desktop are where it's at. Okay. Jesse, good stuff, though. Good stuff.
Much better with my whole hands than I am with just my thumbs.
Uber, nice move here. That was a nice reversal. Izzy, what do you think? Do you think we break out of this double top that we've had really these last 2 days. 77 pop. Think we break that?
By the way, GV open and lower. I don't know how long it's been open, but just noticed that it's now trading again. Looks like it's been open for about 5 minutes.
Oh, God, I hope nobody got hurt on that one. I only trade on my phone. I hate trading on my phone. That's got, you know what, producer?
To each his own.
Producer, maybe that's not an important poll question. I just kind of want to know for myself. That there seems to be hit or miss on that. I can't imagine actively try. I close positions on my phone, but I can't imagine actively trade. I don't know how you guys do that. I'm scared to trade on my desktop. Why?
Like I said, to each his own. Whatever works for you. I'm not gonna say anything.
And I'm sorry. I'm more interested in the context around it. And you're right. 13. That you're right. When you're right, you're right. GV here. This might be done. AGMH. Whoever was into those penny plays. This made some new highs. Came back in. Maybe it goes higher here.
I'm going with the comment of the day so far. Oh,
Mark traded on his shoe.
Oh, okay. So you must have not watched that show. It's an old spy parody show with gosh, what's his name? Help me out here.
I'm just scared to trade it all.
Yeah, Webcoin. Help me out with the name. I forget the man's name, but he cracked me up. I thought he was. I liked that show. That was fun. It was like what in the 50s or 60s.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Get Smart. It's an old TV show.
I feel terrible. I don't think I've ever seen a single episode, and maybe I'm embarrassing myself right now.
Let's see here.
Mobile trading, not for me. 3D facts. I'm with you on that one. Not for me either.
Don Adams was the guy.
God, I have no idea what you guys are. Let me look this up here.
It was like a parody on 007. It was great.
Okay.
There was a whole show, and I'm probably just overhyping it, but when I was a kid and we didn't have a whole lot of TV, that was one of the shows that I frequently watched. I thought it was funny.
So this was released. The original Get Smart was released on September 18th, 1965, and ran through 1969.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that's the one.
Agent 99, I guess, is what's this.
Yep.
Okay. You learn something every day.
That's where I watched it, Jonathan. That was on Nick at Night. It was one of the ones. Yep.
Oh, Nick at Night.
Yep.
Gary wants me in the cone of silence.
Am I rolling back the clock now?
Dude,
that I dropped something?
Look, you want. I'll go with. You know what I watched on Nick at Night? Goosebumps. You remember that show?
Yeah.
And then Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Now that was a fun one. That was a fun one. Sitting around the campfire. Yep. Anyway, I'm still waiting for SCNX
Get
to do
Smart
something.
laid the way for Columbo. Now Columbo I did watch. I did not know that either. You learn something every day here. That's for sure. Oh, the cone of silence. That must be something in the show. Okay. Michael loves it. Okay. Anyway. Sorry I got the attention span of a goldfish here today. We are continuing to bounce here. Spy's going higher. Lutnick is still talking with Sarah Eisen. One of the big points that he's making here is that they need to see fentanyl deaths decline.
Well, that was going to take a while to get that data.
So Sarah asked him, how is a business supposed to look at that and forecast that? I had it on mute though. You bring up a good point. I don't know what the answer is to that. I didn't hear his answer.
Yeah, I mean, what's their time horizon on that data? Is it going to be a month, 3 months, a year? What's it going to be? Anyway, looks like GV is trying to hold 531. I'm not sure I'd be interested in that at the moment. SCNX still trying to do something between its VWAP and this trend line that we identified. KIT looking interesting, like it might be putting in a bit of a bull flag here, but the volume is still very low, so carries a little bit of risk there. TRNR still sideways after being unable to move above VWAP and hold. So still holding above the 200 EMA though on the 5 minute. LAES, that got just slightly over its pre-market high of 276. 278 was the high print. Now it looks like it might be coming in to test some support area.
TGTX, this has been a great stock since its last earnings here. That's really moved. Izzy, you're mentioning a reversal here in Hood.
Well, that's because we have Bitcoin that moved over 90 and is now approaching 91.
Yep.
So Bitcoin names should be getting up there. Matlock. we're going to start dropping all the old names. So, okay, so let me see. I'm going to throw out Dragnet. How about that? Am I dating myself yet?
I mean,
and by that I mean, am I showing how old I am? I'm not.
I mean, I'm familiar with all of those shows. Can't really quote them, but I'm familiar with all of them there. ALXO. This is a pretty nice little rip here. Zscaler. Are we going to pop above the impulse high move on that earnings print? Zscaler, ticker ZS.
Could be.
TNXP off that impulse move came back to the VWAP and held. Volume is kind of compressing on the backside of that.
Yeah, a little bit a bit of caution with TNXP. Just looking at the MACD, I don't want to get caught in a rollover here.
Okta, more continuation. MSTR, the demise of strategy has been greatly exaggerated, it seems. Huge bounce on MicroStrategy. I'm sorry, I called it by the wrong name again. Microsoft having a nice little move here. Boy, I tell you what, a lot of these names. How's Tesla doing? Tesla almost back to even here. 272. What a bounce that was.
Well, let's see where
Google, Amazon, Hood, LAES, huge bounces here. Was there news? Roach on a tree. Was there news causing this rally? We are suspecting it is the interview that is currently going on with Treasury Secretary Howard Lutnick. He had mentioned in this interview that they are expecting some type of more information on the tariffs with Canada and Mexico here today, as well as other things that are not going to be included in that. I'm thinking that that's why the market is bouncing here. I can't find any other reason why that's the case. And that interview, by the way, still going on here. Lutnick will hopefully announce full USMCA reprieve today.
Kit just resolved that bull flag that it was putting in there. So now we're coming up to the some pre-market levels.
I'll tell you what, this actually might be a trade if this breaks and goes higher.
GV still trying to search for a bottom. SCNX had a nasty pull. Got caught by some of the pre-market lows after the impulse move. Don't know if this is going to immediately come right back to VWAP, but something maybe move on from. I don't know what was happening with SCNX from here, but as long as it holds a 65 VMA, there's a chance it could try and return to VWAP.
Sweet one here. Appreciate this summary here. Trump tariff live updates. Commerce Secretary Lutnick says more 1 month tariff exemptions beyond the autos that we heard about yesterday are likely. Yeah, this has got to be what the bounce is.
TRNR back up to VWAP. That might be trying to get up to the trend line I had you draw earlier. But first things first. Let's see a recapture of that VWAP. Yeah, I've
got it at 254. What do you have it there?
Oh, sorry, I need to go back to that.
All good. All good.
I have it at almost there at 254, almost 255.
Okay, Tom, here. I appreciate this little summary here. This is kind of what we thought from the beginning when all of the hand-wringing was going on, by the way. I'm watching the interview now. He's basically said that most of the products will not be under the tariff as long as they keep trying to stop the drug flow. He's been consistent on that from the beginning.
Wow, look at Kit go now. Let's see. We have when we opened this morning, we popped up to 139. That's the pre-market high. That's what I'd be looking at as the next level here if we can take out 128.
TRNR worth watching if it can get above 255 here. I've got 256 as the VWAP in my broker. 254 is the one here in TradingView. This area right here, if it can get above this and hold it, it probably makes a move towards this high, 265.
And Bitcoin over 91,000 now, trying to consolidate to go higher. We have a resistance area in Bitcoin a little bit further up into the 91,000 handle. Seems like 91,700 could be the resistance area. Either we're going to see a rejection or the sizable breakout if the volume comes in.
TRNR. I guess we'll just wait to see what happens there at the VWAP resolution. Kit, continue. We're right here. Broke out from that spot, continuing to go higher here. KITT.
Yeah. All right, let's look at some other bigger names, see if there's anything there. Oh, what's this? TCBP?
That's one we've traded before. That's got tons of splits in TC Biopharm.
I think we did that earlier this week as well. We had a nice impulse move up to the 213 level. I had that marked off earlier. Now we're kind of consolidating around VWAP. So I don't know with this one. I just noticed it because it was up and it had a nice impulse move earlier. Tesla.
Cracker Barrel lost its VWAP.
Tesla's still trying to move up to that 273.60 level I marked off. That's going to be the big resistance level I think it needs to get over if it's going to have any chance of getting above the 200-day SMA. Looks like we're getting a big pull in Kit now.
Hood still at its highs here today.
Steve mentioning ALXO. Is that one of the penny names that was getting mentioned earlier?
ALXO is $1.44. This did come from penny. Oh wait, I clicked on the wrong one. Hang on. Nope, it's not. Clicked on the wrong stock there.
They got a couple of price target raises. After following a PR headline yesterday morning. Also some high short interest. 21% of the float shorted with 9 days to cover on ALXO. So I'd say this is probably a short squeeze, if anything. It's short squeeze on the back of the price target raises. That's kind of what I would be pinning it on.
TNXP is trying to trade higher here. SQQQ, by the way, we talked about this yesterday. Someone had asked about VWAP yesterday. One of the things to keep in mind here, especially with some of these ETFs, the more that these get extended from the VWAP, the more likely they are to regress back to the mean. And that by itself can provide a trade. We've got a guy that does that almost every day. SQQQ is starting to get more extended from the VWAP as we speak. Acon, this did bounce a little bit. I'm still not sure what at all is going on here. We have a 20-cent bounce. This is something that I just wouldn't even touch.
Thank you for mentioning Lunar. Hello, Lynn Adams. I know that from what I read, it's expected to land no earlier than 12:32 Eastern. I don't necessarily know or believe that they're going to actually touch down at that time.
Is that this afternoon, 12:30?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that would, because they're expected to land either today or tomorrow. And so that expectation really in line with that, it's going to be no earlier than 12:32. So it could be at that time or any time after that, today or tomorrow. I tend to believe it's probably going to end up being sometime today. Just don't have an exact time. So it'd be something to keep an eye on if you're trading that. It's LUNR.
Meta here, this did pop. I know you guys are mentioning this. Meta's coming back in. Don't really see a trade here, to be honest, on Meta. What were you going to say, 13? Sorry.
Well, I was going to mention, because I keep bringing it up with regard to the Lunar Intuitive Machines mission lander. They've got Nokia, NOK has devices on there to establish a 4G wireless network on the moon. So not just being used to communicate with the other rovers and devices that are going along with this lander, but to set up a communications network on the moon for future missions as well. Interesting stuff. Tesla launches aggressive Cybertruck incentives.
So real quick, this is courtesy of a tweet of Megan Casella. She does excellent work on CNBC, by the way, at least in my opinion. Regarding the Lutnick interview that just ended, it looks like on CNBC, she says here, it's possible to read this as a shifting these tariffs in function from being about fentanyl to being about enforcing the USMCA. So if that's the case, then what Izzy is screaming here in all caps about this being a tactic proves to be true.
Lifetime free supercharging in Canada and Mexico.
Yeah, and so more tweets now coming out about that being definitely being the reason for the movement that we're seeing.
Kit starting to put in some concerning upper shadows. Treat that with a little bit of extra caution. TRNR is still trying to make its way up through VWAP and to have a candle close over it. TNXP got support after a pull that brought it down slightly beneath VWAP, looking to go back up and maybe even hits 15. Current high right now is 1490.
Okay, sorry, I got too lost in the sauce there on the Twitter streets.
Oh, nice wisdom.
GV's trying to bounce. Don't trust that. Kit pulled off the 130 spot.
Yeah, if GV does end up coming back up, it's going to have to recapture like 590 or 6 for me to even be wanting to do anything with it. It's pretty well beneath VWAP, so I wouldn't be surprised if it came back up and tried to test that. But I don't know if it's going to recapture it or not. And there's a big pull in Kit. That's what I was kind of alluding to, is with their upper shadows. Coming back down to 120, it looks like. Maybe even VWAP, which I have at 117. TNXP still looking for 15.
Lutnick also said in that interview, by the way, quote, stock market not driving outcomes for this administration. And that is a change from Trump 1.0. Cracker Barrel continuing to break down after giving up its VWAP. I can't even remember the last time I've eaten at a Cracker Barrel.
That's what I did, was when I was in Arizona.
I don't know that I miss anything. Anyway, GV Big Pop. This did curl here.
Yeah, I still want to see.
I would want to see. Yeah, I'm with you on that. And the other thing is, I'd like to see. So the big pop that you're mentioning, I'd like to see bigger pops on the volume candle, frankly, because I think that you'd really get some movement back here, including getting to that 590 spot that you just mentioned, 13. I'd like to see this volume increase. This is what's got me worried on GV. Thank you, producer, for the Natty Gas storage numbers.
It's not something that I lean into too heavily, but did you happen to notice the Challenger jobs reports having a pretty large month-over-month change? Probably the largest we've seen since
TRNR pulling on volume. Sorry to interrupt. Big pull on volume here, TRNR.
Since 2009, I believe. So I didn't know if you managed to catch that or if that was discussed, but it's maybe something we might want to bring up in happy hour or at some point for discussion, because that was a pretty large change.
Okay, so was it one of the data prints that we got here this morning?
Yeah, the Challenger jobs report, which basically
Challenger
covers
job cuts. This is for February. This is 172. The prior was 149.
Yeah, that's a huge change. That we didn't even get anywhere near that this past year or for a while. So that was a really significant change in the job cuts. I just didn't know if you had brought it up, but I think it might warrant discussion later on today.
Okay, you can discuss it anytime you want.
Getting a web coin saying "Grr bear cave report."
Oh, here
You know
we
what
go.
that means? Lion, are you
Here we
paying
go.
attention? Are you
Lion,
ready?
new short report, GRRR. Here we go on GUR. I hope Lion's out there. I hope Lion's out there. I really do.
All right.
Let me actually see what the I'm gonna lose my shading again. I'm just gonna have to fight with it when I'm back. But I gotta read this report.
I don't see it in the news feed quite yet.
I don't either.
So maybe it hasn't shown up yet. But I mean, look, it's already reacting to
clearly
something.
It is. Here, hang on. I'll see if I can get it for us, guys.
My initial thought here is that maybe this goes down to about 30, 50 or 30 even. I mean, I don't want to start making. Okay.
I got you. Link to the Bear Cave report in the chat.
All right. Hey, I don't know if anybody caught that TNXP, but we got that 15 print. Now it's looking for 16. Holy cow. Look at this thing fly.
I knew this was going to happen. I knew I was going to lose the shading there. There we go. Oh. Good call on that one, 13. Wasn't on that.
No, I wasn't either, but it just looked like it was trying to get 15. This was, like I was saying, the volume had me concerned. Now we're getting a pull after hitting 1620. Kit coming down to VWAP, GV. That's still trying to recover, but I don't know if this is going to end up recapturing at 65 EMA. It's not looking great, but I don't want to say it's definitely not happening. That would be premature of me. So I'm just going to say that 65 EMA, need to see some closes above that if we're going to get back to VWAP.
So real quick here, on this GUR thing, first of all, here's the actual report. I did throw this link in the chat so you can grab it. But this is obviously like the crux of all of this is behind a subscribe paywall. So take that for whatever it's worth. But basically describes itself as a global solutions provider for security intelligence, network intelligence, blah, 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 blah. The company trades actively in the U.S. and the stock is up about 1,200% over the last 6 months, largely driven by retail enthusiasm around a series of recent deals and partnerships. The Bear Cave believes the recent retail investor enthusiasm for the company may be premature. And he goes into, they're going to go into here what the CEO is saying on that. Looks like the video here is from an 2024 AI summit in Bangkok. Gorilla here, by the way. So I don't obviously have a subscription to the Bear Cave. I'm not going to. I'll see if I can get some cliff notes from my my circle. But GRR here. I wonder if that's actually on the. No, let's see. See if there's any buyable levels here.
Well, let's see what I got.
30.
That's what I was Yeah, that's one of the first levels I was saying, like 30, 50, or 30. That was a little standout to me. If we lose that one, then I think 26 is going to be the next one.
The April contracts are still kind of expensive. Dollar spread on those contracts too.
Looks like the market's possibly turning around here after Letnick went off TV.
Holding 578 at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sharing the wrong screen still. Sorry. I have someone, by the way, just so you guys can laugh at me a little bit more. There's a meeting that I run every week here, and I often share my screen in that meeting. And every week, I forget to switch the screen share to the right screen. And my coworkers are sitting there like, Ryan, you're not on the right screen. And I'm like, damn it. Every week. Happens every week. Take care of yourself, Wisdom. It's good to see you.
Yep, take care.
Lion here saying in the case of GUR, I think it's overvalued. So it looks like you are not buying that short report. We did come into 35 here and we started to bounce so far.
So with Bitcoin, we got as high as 91. We'll just call it 91.4 because it almost hit that. So 91,400 seems to be the current resistance that it's trying to get through. Could be gearing up to do it, but I don't know if that's going to be the case for sure. It still looks like this thing could end up turning around and going lower. But it hit a resistance level, the consolidation from earlier this morning. So see if you can chew through that on the next movement up.
Dow, the strongest indice here, is a quick check-in at the heat map. When we looked at this earlier here today, this was blood red. We're starting to get some relief here. And actually, the interesting thing is that it looks like technology is really doing the heavy lifting. Apple, Google, Microsoft, these were all deep red earlier. They are now green. NVIDIA is still red, but not as red as it was, for whatever that's worth. So it looks like technology really kind of doing some of the work here. Dow still bouncing as we speak.
Most of the Mag 7 are still red, with the exception being Apple and Google. And I guess Microsoft is flat.
They were down. They were down in the pre-market pretty good though.
Yeah, Amazon, still down, but it seems to be rising. Broadcom, and I know some of these aren't Mag 7, but I just put them in there because their valuations are so high. Broadcom still down 3.25. Berkshire near flat. What else here? Meta down. Netflix down. More Mag 7s down than up. So BBAI is down to 450 now. Wow. Well, let's see what the market's going to do from here. Looks like Tesla's still struggling. I just don't know if it's going to end up getting that 200 SMA recapture.
Here, let me bring that up here real quick.
But we still have a whole day ahead of us, and it is after 10:30, so we could end up seeing a lot of this price action in these movers really start to dry up here.
I'm going to give you a little preview really quickly. You were talking about copper. You made an unreal call on copper here recently. So a little bit of steel manning going on here. First of all, Freeport-McMoRan is going to be one of your bigger copper plays. But the other thing here, and again, I don't want to steal too much thunder, but we're gonna have Mark on tomorrow, so I'm going to have him talk a little bit more about this in depth. But just as a little bit of a preview here, looks like the stock of the day from Mark here is going to be ticker SCCO, Southern Copper. So kind of going into the same thing that you are. He's got a chart in here. I'm going to have him explain this and the thesis a little bit more tomorrow when we talk to Mark in the morning. But 13, I did want to mention this here ahead of time, mostly because you also had an amazing call on copper. So it looks like great minds thinking alike here.
Yeah, that I don't remember if I mentioned it on Monday, but it was on Tuesday that I remember I made the case for it in happy hour, and it was really funny too because one of the last thing I said is because copper is going to be one of these critical materials that we're going to need if we're going to bring manufacturing back to the United States, and if Trump imposes tariffs on that, that's going to be really good for all the companies that have copper mines that are being active inside the United States. So as soon as he said that during that congressional address, I was like, nailed it. So that was really great to hear. I think the copper trade could be on for a while unless there's something else that happens with tariffs. So the companies that have mines that are active inside the United States, I think those are the ones that we want to pay attention to. We'll see if what Mark has to say about that as well.
Lion giving us tech here. So now we've got 3 names here that we can kind of look at from our little ecosystem here. By the way, shout out to you for keeping your eye on the prize while watching that and trying to come up with trading ideas based on what's being said. That's well done, 13.
Thank you. With regard to tech, where do they operate out of? Miner with copper and zinc operations in Canada, United States, Chile, and Peru. So it looks like they do have something, at least one mine, maybe in the United States.
Cleveland Cliffs also at the highs here, plus 2%, ticker CLF.
And this is what I think. But if you are going to see tariffs on copper, on imports of copper, then some of these U.S. based miners are going to be like, well, we don't necessarily need to raise our prices up to where those tariffs are, but we can at least try to capture some extra premium. So you may see a little bit of price gouging as a result of that. Just something that I think about when I'm thinking about tariffs and how imports are going to affect the price or import tariffs are going to affect the price of products and materials that are already in the United States. You might see the overall commodity or product rise with those tariffs, just not up to the tariff levels.
Izzy here saying market green or red at the end of today. I tell you what, right now it is trying to make a run towards green. Still got some more work to do. 0.6% there in the SPY, 0.9% there in the Qs and the NASDAQ, and still 0.6 here in the Dow. So a really, really good tradable bounce here this morning. Can't tell you if it's going to close green. I want to say we're going to have some continued downside pressure. I think this is just kind of a corrective bounce.
To answer, Jay Wild, your question about LAES short interest, I have 19.8% of the float shorted with only a data cover. Seeing that we are getting a breakout here, I don't know if this is No, it's not halted. 285 is the current high right now, but it is not really moving at the moment.
Jay, that most recent update was from February 26th. So that is the freshest print that we have here.
Hey, Market Sniper, there's going to be plenty of opportunities. I didn't hold it overnight either, and it probably would have been good, but can't be mad about it. We're going to find others. We're going to make money. It'll be great.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, congrats to those that did, but we've seen more often than not some of these high flyers one day become low flyers, I guess, the next day, and maybe holding on to it doesn't always work. But like 13 said, we'll have more opportunity. There's no question about that. LAES continuing to move to the highs here. Mosaic getting mentioned here is going higher. It's going to be another materials play. Talked about this with Matt or Tim. On Monday morning.
Looks like 3 is definitely going to be the next target for LAES. Above that, I'd say 320. If we end up hitting those two, I'll take a look again for more upside targets. But
okay,
that would be the next two I'd be looking at, 3 and 320. All right. I'm just going to cycle through some of these movers. Still seeing GV trade sideways, but beneath 65 EMA and VWAP for that matter. SCNX still getting support from the 65 EMA. Not sure if we're going to get a return to VWAP on this, but the longer it shows that it's trying to curl, the better of a chance it might have. But just, be careful with a lot of these. KIT after hitting that 129 high. Just series of selling right through VWAP, trying to recapture it to no avail. Seems like the 200 EMA is going to come into play again. I just don't know if it's going to hold up the price. TRNR, VWAP has suppressed this thing all morning. You've got at least a couple of prints above it, but just absolutely slapped down from VWAP on more than one occasion. If it does happen to come back up to VWAP, you're going to want to see that break through it. Otherwise, it's just probably going to be something you're going to want to take off your screen and not look at it for the rest of the day.
Anil is asking, SPY, is there any chance at hitting 583 today technically? Well, yeah, I mean, that would be the green-red line. And if the market does try and go green, you could see it testing that. Don't know if it will, but I would say, yeah, that's possible.
Let me see here. 583. Let me see where that's at. So it's possible we could see that, trying to recapture the 5% pullback level, which I have at 582.57. So you could see an overshoot of that. We've seen that twice already this week after we lost the 5% pullback level. So Tuesday and Wednesday, both times we hit 583 trying to recapture the pullback. So I would say it's not impossible, but you just have a lot more resistance acting against you at this point. Because it wasn't able to hold above the 5% pullback. So It's really going to be news dependent, I would say. That's just what's been driving the volatility in the market. So it's possible, but I don't think there's any guarantee that it will. Look at LAES, right up to almost 3 now.
By the way, GRRR tried to hold on to 36. Looks like it's trying to roll over here. A fight going on there in GRRR. For any of you looking to play the short report there. Lion, I know you said you think that's overvalued. You might actually take a put on that. I swear, if you end up hitting that and the one time that you change from calls to puts and it ends up working, you've got the Midas touch, my friend.
Isn't there some kind of event happening on March 10th?
Event for what?
Like a political event. I'm trying to think because I thought March 10th was an important day, and I don't remember exactly what it was for, but I think it may have market moving implications. And I'm only asking that because Jonathan Cooper is bringing up the next FINRA report, which is on the 11th, and I could have sworn there was something coming up at the beginning of next week, and I just can't remember what it was. But I do know that we have the BLS jobs report tomorrow, and we have CPI on Wednesday. So those are the next 2 things I'd be looking for. But now you've flagged the FINRA report, so I'll keep an eye on that. But I could have sworn there was some other event that's happening on March 10th.
March 10th is Chuck Norris's birthday. Is that what the event that you were referring to?
If there was a trade there, that'd be amazing. But I don't know that there is.
It's also Sharon Stone's birthday and Osama bin Laden's birthday. How about that? Prince Edward, born on that day. Boy, March 10th, busy day. I don't know what the economic event is that you're referring to, though.
I don't even know if it's an economic event. I thought it was some kind of announcement or something that was supposed to be happening. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just trying to figure that out. Maybe somebody knows what I'm talking about.
Jay, bringing up Lantheus. Is there a play there, Jay? This held its earnings and went higher. There more room on the room to run on this one? Lantheus, this was such a good play. I have trouble chasing it 21 points higher than where it was just at a second and not long ago. The telephone was invented on March 10th. There you go.
All right, Long Verizon, TMUS, and all those, right?
Smith and Wesson is the Chuck Norris birthday play. Oh, that's funny. GV here. This to me looks like a bear flag. We might actually be going lower here at GV. Chuck Norris doesn't wait for the market to dip. The market dips for Chuck.
Yeah. There we go. I'm loving it.
Oh, God. That's how we're going to finish today off, huh? Chuck Norris jokes. I love it.
Yeah.
David saying government shutdown is coming March 14th. Not sure about March 10th. I don't think the government is going to shut down, but that is I believe, the deadline, right, David? I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
I think they've been talking about a potential deal happening over the weekend, so we'll see.
That's kind of what I mean. But I think that he's right on the date is the point there.
I was trying to see if there was a stock, or a company called Roundhouse or a ticker with like a RDHS or something like that.
Closest thing I can think of is Texas Roadhouse.
So there you go. Just to as a fun trade that
GUR 2 points lower. GUR 2 points lower. Ivan, you were saying GUR is going down further. As soon as you said that, 2 more points to the downside there.
Yeah, I like 30. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, if it goes to 30, then I'd start maybe looking at some calls here, but I will wait for that to go out. I do meditation and I feel the energy around me. If the energy is negative, I go short. If the energy is positive, I go long. You do you, Lion. I'm not up on the metaphysical stuff.
Do you light incense and whack a brass bowl?
I don't do any of that. I've got scented candles that just suffice completely. So incense and whacking brass bowls doesn't really seem accretive to what I'm trying to do.
I'm sorry if I'm being disrespectful. I don't know what all the different practices are. I just remember. And go ahead.
No, it's all right. GV may be bouncing here. Watch for the volume spike, though. Which one did I miss? What did I miss?
The crimp biscuits. Chuck Norris mines Bitcoin with a pickaxe. That's funny.
That's not bad. Surprised he doesn't just use his hands.
That's how he gets gold.
All right.
You got something for me?
No, I'm looking around trying to. It looks like everything just kind of. We got the Lutnick thing. It was doing its thing, and now it's just kind of exhaling. Wouldn't even be shocked if we kind of sold back off here.
Yeah, we need drivers for this market. We don't have one right now.
Another penny stock here. This plunging.
I will say this though, now that we've moved over the 577.71 previous all-time high, that has turned to support. So if we continue to move lower, I'd be looking at that level as a support area. And you can even mark it off and look at the smaller time frame and see the price action we've had this morning about how it's turned into it's been going from a resistance to support level.
Sorry, which ticker did you want me to mark a level off?
That's SPY. The 577 and 71 cent previous all-time high.
577 and 1 cent.
71. 577 and 71.
57771. Got you.
Yep.
I had it right there. There we go. Bang.
Yeah. And so
we'll add that on there.
That's kind of been keeping the price down in the pre-market, but we just had a breakout there. So I'm looking at that as support.
China retaliates with additional tariffs on top of the 15% on some U.S. goods from March 10th. There you go. Good shout out there, Hoods. Good shout out on that one.
That's what I was thinking of. Okay. So that's the one that's the one I think we got to pay attention to, because Trump's already said that he's going to do retaliatory tariffs. So if we get those from China, Trump's going to put more on China. So I'm sure there's some plays in there, probably on the China names.
Yeah.
So just something to think about going into next week. Oh, it looks like LAES is trying again. I'm sorry, no, not LAES. TNXP. I'm sorry, TNXP trying again.
Yeah, that was going towards its highs there.
Mm-hmm. Still struggling to get back over 16, but 1620, the high of the day. Looks like the SPY just had a nice pull right down to the 577.71 area. Let's see if we get support there.
It's coming right into that area. By the way, some of those Chinese names, we talked about this from the outset here. Those kind of giving it up today. A little bit of a regressive move here. JD, Baba, let's check Baidu as well. All of these kind of coming back in.
Looks like Kit's headed right to the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. TRNR looks like this is going to end up going lower under 230 at some point. LAES.
Hang on one sec. I just got to make sure my bird's okay.
No problem. It looks like GV's trying to come back. Look at this. Look at this support of Inspired 577.71. It had a bounce there, and now it's trying to lose it. No.
Okay, sorry about that. He's good. Everything's good.
What's going on with TMS RL? Is that getting some news? TMUS. Done a whole lot of nothing today, it looks like. It's a longer time frame look like. So that's not what you want to see in a wonderful stock like T-Mobile. Lost the 20-day SMA and it has back tested it as resistance. Not able to recapture it. Might need to see some more days of how this trades before I make a call of this going lower, but it's starting to put in some of the hallmarks of future downside movement. If we cannot recapture that 20-day SMA and maybe get back above, let's say, 265, I think this may end up going lower. And if it does, seems like somewhere around 248 to 250 might be a good support area. So we'll see if that ends up happening.
What is the bird trading? Nothing today. T-Mobile, by the way, beneath the opening after the Super Bowl, or beneath where it was after the Super Bowl. We talked about that Starlink commercial and all of that. We're actually lower than that right here. Ivan saying EA has been doing great. Got out too early. Oh, you mean EH? Well, let's actually check in on EA. Hey, look at that. Does anyone still have a trailer for the 140 like I do? Does anyone still have that? That is up. That is up. My trailer is up 200%. Hundo.
Carmen mentioning PLTR taking a beating. This thing's been really struggling to recapture and hold above its 50-day SMA. It seems like it's up one day, down the next. This, unless we start getting this to move back up towards the 20-day SMA, I think we're going to see 70 here at some point.
Give me 60.
That's possible too. Hell,
controversial opinion, I guess. Give me 60.
Why not just say screw it and target the 200-day SMA down at 51? I mean, it could end up getting down to all those levels, but the first thing I want to see is what happens at 70.
I'm a buyer at those levels. I'll say that.
Okay.
I'm a buyer at those levels. Okay, folks, 3 minutes to go here. Good day. I didn't really do a whole lot. I have no active new trades here today. Didn't see anything I liked. Escaped yesterday barely. I actually kind of felt like I was lucky yesterday. I am looking to close the last leg of this EA trade here, but I've got 2 weeks, and I do think we could probably print 140, so I'm going to try and hold out there. You got anything you want to go over, 13?
It's been pretty much a snooze fest for the good portion of the morning. We're getting into the lunch hour pretty soon here. I don't know that there's really going to be anything too interesting to watch for, except maybe that lunar landing that potentially might happen later today. We also have the SpaceX Starship test flight that's scheduled again now to launch today. Hopefully they don't move it again. Other than that, I don't really see anything exciting here. So it might just be one of those days where I go outside and say hello to Mr. Sun.
Well, let me ask you, you're in Texas there. What's your weather like down there?
Oh, we're at 61 degrees.
Okay, so you were a little bit warmer yesterday.
Fantastic. Right? No, it was about
the
same as yesterday. So it's fantastic out here right now.
Okay. And producer, absolutely love that. Thanks for tuning in. Happy trading. And don't forget to check out Benzinga Pro if you haven't already. Also, one more thing to consider there. Check out Benzinga Edge. We have the QR code here at the upper right corner here. If you're unsure if you can be as active as you want for Benzinga Pro, try Benzinga Edge. It's a great way to get your foot in the door. You're going to get a lot of content in here, like the insider report from Gianni DiPoci. You're going to get here's another Tim Melvin article for those of you that really like Tim Melvin. He's got a lot of stuff in here. Mark Petrino, stock of the day, is also going to be in here. There's a bunch of sortable news and calendars that you can do to stay on top of things in here. A lot of insider trades and some other stuff in here. So Benzinga Edge, really, really lightweight, can really kind of give you some of that, get you your foot in the door, and maybe that's the impetus to make enough to eventually go with Pro. So be sure to check that out here. We take pride in making products that to help folks make better trades. So 13, thanks again for all your work here today. Great stuff as always. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Take care, folks.
That is 13, folks. We are out of here for today. Really good stuff here this week. I know it's been crazy in the market, and it doesn't look to abate anytime soon. We will be here to try and make sense of all of that. Appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Tune in tomorrow for Mark Petrino in the morning. We're going to close the week out.